start today.
Yeah.
Bing it, bang it, boom, dong, boom, ding,
let the big doggy.
DA, great question.
All aboard the dog.
This is why you do what you do. Yo.
Somebody stop me.
Have some fun with your marriage.
I'm coming to you to be fat. Let me be fat.
Look it.
There's so many sickos in this country.
This is facts.
Oink, oink. Ow!
Hot and hurt.
I like pleasuring myself.
This is so dumb.
A little more juice.
What?
I am broken.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The rest of my life gon' start today.
CBS Sports Radio.
Well, as I was saying, when I was listening to the radio, I heard something.
And what did you hear?
A hissing sound like this.
Hey, T.A. Hey, D.A. Let me aboard that mothership.
Permission to board that mothership, sir.
Well, you know, I had to slide through the intergalactic swag party. D.A., man, beam me up. What's going on, my brother from another mother? Beam me up. You guys are the best.
You guys make it fun to board that mothership.
Mothership has connected.
And you the man, D.A.
Happy Monday to you, North America. The mothership has connected. Welcome aboard. It's the 4-hour Black Hole Block Party. DA with you from the CBS Sports Radio studios in New York, broadcasting to affiliates nationwide and north of the border. Anchorage to Atlanta, Albuquerque to Albany, Kalamazoo and Waterloo are on the air.
They listening, D.A. Everything we saying, D.A. Everything.
How we doing, everybody? Thanks so much for being back with us. Another wild and woolly week here aboard the mothership. And boy, today should be a lot of fun breaking down everything from NFC and AFC divisional round playoff weekend. The Niners are moving on. They travel to Philadelphia. The Bengals with a rematch of the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium of last season's AFC Championship game. Wall-to-wall coverage of it all coming up this morning on the program in 20 minutes. What's the latest on Patrick Mahomes' ankle? In 40 minutes, momentous Monday. If you want to weigh in on anything that happened this weekend with those playoff games, let's do it. Your phone number, 855-212-4CBS. On Twitter, DA on CBS. We begin at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California yesterday as the 49ers advance to the NFC title game and the Dallas Cowboys shrink in a big moment yet again. How about the way it looked at the end of that one? My goodness, in the final few minutes, the final two drives specifically, the Cowboys melted into a puddle. How pitiful was the game management? It is where we begin. Your cold open.
There's a quick snap to Dak Prescott on third down. Steps up in the pocket, gets out left. He gets tackled from behind. The 49ers, Nick Bosa, Samson Ebukam combine on Dak, and the Cowboys go 3 and out, and they've got to punt the ball back with 2:35 to play. And the clock is rolling here.
Tough situation we had today. I think we had 45 seconds, no timeouts to go 80. So, I mean, that's just a tough situation. But, I mean, we just gotta make the plays on the count.
Ezekiel Elliott is going to play center.
I think I saw Kellen Moore do this at Boise State about 15 years ago.
He's ineligible, though. Why would they leave Beata? Shouldn't he do that? He snaps it back to Dak Prescott. He throws over the middle to Turpin. He gets hammered down by Jimmy Ward. The game is over.
What a way
to end it. The 49ers are on their way to Philadelphia.
What a way to end it. Ezekiel Elliott just got destroyed.
Jerry, you said before the Tampa Bay game that nothing that happened that night could impact your thoughts on Coach Mike McCarthy. Does a result like this change anything in your mind with him?
No, not at all.
I don't believe it!
The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending.
It's DA's top story.
Here he goes!
It's your cold open.
In that clip, you heard 49ers radio During the play-by-play call, you heard Dak Prescott after the loss. That, of course, was Jerry Jones as well. That final drive itself was obviously a frantic, difficult challenge. No timeouts, 40 seconds to play, deep in your own end. You need a touchdown. So you could understand giving the Cowboys a bit of a pass there because rarely is anything going to work all that well. But that final play was a joke. How discombobulated and stupid was the final play? Now, you could certainly argue there is no play that works well there. That's fine. But Ezekiel Elliott snapping the football only to get absolutely annihilated by the Niners up front, allowing a jailbreak for Dak Prescott, who throws it over the middle, and then it's immediately brought down. That's basically the worst final play ever. Yeah, so to one of our star running backs, especially after Tony Pollard went down with an injury, we are just going to actually stand you in front of somebody that you've never blocked before without any experience in the game besides chipping for a pass. And we're going to have you just get mauled up front. What do you think? And that'll lead to absolutely no protection for Dak Prescott. Smart, right? But let's go back to the second to final drive here, where Dak, with the game on the line, A, nearly throws a pick six on first down, or at least interception. Then B, on second down, significantly underthrows an open receiver downfield to Michael Gallup. And then on third down, when they get stopped, they let the clock drip down minimum 20 seconds. They could have gotten that punt off, but instead were slow to get it off, which meant they lost that time to be able to get back once they called their timeouts. Go figure. I mean, it was a cavalcade of mistakes down the stretch for the Cowboys there. Overall, though, this game is not won or lost in the final two drives. This game is won and lost over the course of those 3 hours. And Dak Prescott, for all the great things that he did on Monday night, was a shell of that. I mean, nearly threw 3 interceptions yesterday and just consistently could not move the football. They could not move the football, and the Cowboys, who looked like gangbusters on Monday night, mixing the run and the pass, and Dak was so accurate and so mobile, and everything that they tried worked. It was invasion of the body snatchers 1 week later. And it goes to show you that, A, the Niners were a far superior team to the Buccaneers, so they presented a far more difficult challenge, but also that you just could never trust the Cowboys. And I said this how many times this season. Now, I thought that they would lose to the Buccaneers, and I'll own that one, but I never trusted any consistency from the Cowboys because we didn't see it enough, especially down the stretch. And the game we saw yesterday from the Cowboys was closer to what the Cowboys were the final month of the season than what we saw against the Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay game was the anomaly for the Cowboys. Yesterday is a lot about how they looked the last month and a half of the year. Jerry there says no changes to be made at the coaching position. So be it. Look, if you wanted to sit there and argue that Mike McCarthy deserves another year after winning 12 games back-to-back seasons and this time winning a playoff game, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to sit here and yell about firing Mike McCarthy. But it's amazing how much things change in Dallas, yet stay the same. That just feels like almost every other Cowboy season. No matter who the head coach is, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter anything that you think should change, the roster changes, the coaches change, that feels just like so many other Cowboys years over the last 30. Good, not great. When push came to shove in the playoffs, or a Week 17 winning in, they weren't up to the challenge. They didn't have what it takes. And I always bang the drum on the Cowboys are the team that get ahead of themselves earlier than any other team in the NFL. That by late September, early October, they're openly talking about Super Bowl aspirations, which always comes from Jerry. They're so far, the cart's so far ahead of the horse on the Cowboys all the time, and they do it to themselves because Jerry does it. And so watching Jerry slink out of another road stadium after another playoff loss, Priceless. 855-212-4CBS or on Twitter, DA on CBS. As for the 49ers, this was a case where San Francisco did not play its best game yesterday. And Brock Purdy wasn't nearly as flawless and in sync as we've seen him since he's taken over the reins. But the one thing you can say about Purdy was even with this game on the line, even with it being a one-score game throughout, even though he never had a lot of success yesterday, Purdy didn't break stride. Purdy did not break stride. Purdy consistently yesterday looked like, we'll get him. He didn't look out of sorts. He didn't have that wide-eyed look so many rookies do. But this was a spot of the NFC Championship game on the line, and he was not having a good day. And Purdy he kept his head about him. And that's a pretty impressive thing. Now, against the Eagles, the Niners will have to play a much better offensive game. But that was a pretty solid defensive effort on both sides yesterday. Neither team could get much momentum. The catch by George Kittle was the catch that kind of breaks the game open. And that juggling catch, bouncing off of his face mask and finally corralling it, that's why you have those types of players. That's why John Lynch has collected those types of players. Because if it wasn't Kittle there, it could have been Debo, it could have been McCaffrey. You just need a great player to make one great play. And he did. And then, of course, drawing the penalty down near the end zone, setting up the short field to punch in for a touchdown. But the Niners were resourceful yesterday. The Niners were resourceful. And that's one of their great attributes, is that when something's not working well, the other side of the football or the other part of the team can pick you up. I did not think that Kyle Shanahan had a great game calling plays, but I will give the Cowboys defense credit for stymieing a lot of what the Niners tried. But when they had to have the drive, when they absolutely had to have the drive, they got it. And when the Cowboys absolutely had to have the drive, they went 3 and out. And that's the difference of yesterday's game. That's the difference. The Niners had to go down the field and get a touchdown to create separation and get that lead. And they did it. And when the Cowboys had to answer, they went 3 and out with nearly an interception, an underthrown football, and poor clock management. There it is. It's the difference in winning and losing playoff games. Yesterday, the Bengals were so impressive. And if you watched the show or heard the show on Friday, you know that the Wizard was all over the Bengals. But specifically, I had been all over the Bengals the entire week. I didn't understand that line. And I know that the offensive line was banged up from the Bengals, but to me, the evidence was clear that Cincinnati was a better football team. I thought they were a better football team. And I'll tell you, I think everybody slept on the Bengals because of how they looked last weekend of the wild card round when that wasn't a fair assessment. And I said this on Friday. Losing Jonah Williams was tough. But it wasn't like they didn't deal with a leaky patchwork offensive line last year en route to a Super Bowl. The difference was this year, we had evidence that the Bengals took that next step. This year, they beat the Chiefs. Now, who was the sexy team going into the weekend? Kansas City. Bengals beat the Chiefs this year. The Bengals had the Bills on their turf a few weeks ago and went right down the field, hot knife through butter, and scored a touchdown to the opening drive. Now, he didn't get much of that game, obviously. It was ultimately suspended. But the very brief glimpse was the Bengals are not going to have much trouble with the Bills' defense tonight. Last week against the Ravens, that was a particularly bad matchup for the Bengals. Division foe, great defense. They had seen Burrow twice this year. They get this team twice every single season. And the speed of the Ravens defense was able to neutralize for the most part what the Bengals were able to do. The Bills didn't have that. And going into the game yesterday, I saw a lot of chatter on social media about Leslie Frazier deserving another head coaching job, and will he get interviews, and this, that, and the other thing about this Bills defense. I have never felt this season like the Bills defense was going to come up with a lights-out performance when it mattered most. I never felt that way. And I know that a lot of the Bills' losses this year you can pin on Josh Allen mistakes, but there was also reason to be concerned about the Bills' defense going into that game yesterday. And what you saw was the Bills' defensive line got chewed up. They got blown to smithereens. And that game yesterday was a butt kicking from start to finish in favor of the Bengals. And think about this. The Bengals end up winning that game by 17 points. They had a touchdown overturned in that game, which questionable call to say the least, and had an interception overturned. Now, the Bills didn't get anything out of that drive, but that game could have been even worse of a butt kicking. That's a hell of an impressive Bengals team. That is a hell of an impressive Bengals team, and people didn't realize it. People were lulled into the Bengals aren't as good because they had trouble with the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. No, that was a bad matchup for them. The Bills, that was a good matchup for them. And the Chiefs, they've beaten already this season. That's a damn good Bengals team that people don't give credit to. All right, a ton to get to this morning here on the show. Of course, the Bengals will travel to Arrowhead Stadium and take on Mahomes and the Chiefs. But after Mahomes goes down with the ankle injury, what's his status like for Sunday? We'll get into that coming up here next. DA, CBS Sports Radio. Well, guys, you know I love good quality sleep. It changes the outlook of my day. And the new year is upon us, so sleep should be your number one goal.
Dog allergy?
Whether you're
So
testing out, maybe.
I see a person bringing their dog into a store because it can't be left at home or in the car or whatever. That's not how this works. It's an animal.
How dare both of you? How dare you? There's some people out there who can't have children, and guess what? They rely on those animals to be their children. But animals get cold. My dog, if you cut his hair, it shivers. It needs its little sweatshirt.
Don't cut its hair.
Where is it originally from?
I don't know. Shake a paw. It's a Pomsky.
Yeah.
The point is this, and by the way,
You've genetically
It's from a lab.
You've genetically altered a breed of animal so that now it's cold because you have to have it.
and by the way, jerk face, some of us might have a sleep number. Some of us might have a spring in our back that the most comfortable thing is our dog giving snuggles and kisses in the bed.
So you
and
sleep-
smooching on me. Go on, give me the kiss. I like that. I
You
like
sleep
the feel
on
of
your dog. You put your dog in your back as a
my
backrest.
dog sleeps right in between me and my wife, and he rolls over every once in a while. I give a little belly pet at 3:30 in the morning.
That dog smells other dogs' buttholes. That dog.
Sean ate
No, you
a
smell
dog's-
butts. You smell butts.
good
We're
comeback.
on the subway.
That's a
We're
really
sniffing
good
each other's butts every day.
Good comeback.
Oh,
Are we?
Charlie, what'd you have for lunch? Popeyes? That's how close we are on the subway. But because we lay next to a dog, now suddenly they...
My face has never been by someone's butt.
You know what? I
on
went
the
to a fair.
subway.
I went to a fair Saturday. Whole store or whole stand dedicated to dog bow ties, and it was selling like crazy.
Exactly.
And I put a bow tie on my dog. He looks
Exactly.
sharp. And then
Yeah,
when you bring him to a formal event, he looks good.
You shouldn't bring a dog to a formal event
Oh,
unless it's a dog
hocus
formal
pocus.
event.
And how many formal events are you bringing your dog
My
to?
dog's going to go to my baby's christening because he's a big brother.
Okay, that's fine, but does it need to be a black tie event?
You guys don't understand. You're all evil. Dogs absolutely should be in your bed. Dogs absolutely should be snuggling, give you kisses. And you know what? When they get cold, they deserve a little blanket. Just like us, they're freezing. My dog will shiver on the floor. I got to wrap it up in a little sweater.
Yes. Again, because you needed a dog built in a lab.
You are crazy. You have no
Go-
touch
go-
of reality.
go buy
all
it.
these books you read, you can't read something on a dog?
Go buy a dog with real hair and real fur that doesn't need a
You
blanket.
know, I don't know what's happened to you of late. I
Let
don't
a
know
husky
if it's
be
the
a
second,
husky.
second year of marriage or whatever, but suddenly you're questioning doctors telling everybody how Sam Darnold could die, and now you're telling real life people who treat their animals damn good that they are jerks.
Attention to Mraz. There's a guy sitting next to me that has been on your side of the mono deal with Sam Darnold and been married for 10 years, and he's saying the same thing.
Because he doesn't own a dog. So he doesn't get it.
You can do whatever. You can snuggle with your dog and kiss your dog.
Don't
and
tell
put
me
it-
I have the
that's
problem,
fine.
though. I'm the normal
No,
one.
my problem is is the dog stroller and the dog going everywhere in public places where it shouldn't be. That's ridiculous. It's a dog. It doesn't get to come into the Gap and buy a sweater with you.
First of all, I agree about dog strollers, but why not? Dogs are people too.
They're dogs. They are dogs.
They are not people
too. No, you want to keep them out of the food store for sanitary produce reasons? That's fine. A dog should be able to stroll Target. Dogs go to Lowe's and Home Depot all the time.
Sean. No,
why is my dog allowed to pick out molding with me, but then it can't go to Target? Tell me that.
Because it shouldn't go to Home Depot with you either.
Dog people are ridiculous.
My dog loves the store.
Because you know what? Because people that love dogs are so aggressive about loving dogs. They won't let anybody not love dogs the same way. And there is more fight for dog rights than there is for LGBTQ. There's more fight for dog rights than people that are actually of difficult backgrounds. There is such a fight aggressively for dog rights. It's ridiculous. And they should not be in Home Depot.
Why can't you fight for everybody's rights, including dogs?
Because
everybody
dogs
should get
aren't
these rights.
people.
But they're the closest thing we have to people. Dogs.
No, that's not true either.
First of all, we don't know how evolution truly works. We may not have been people.
Oh, we do. No, we do.
Don't go down that
We
road,
actually
please.
do.
We may not have been people 6,000 years
The
ago.
guy
How do you know?
who didn't know tigers and bears is now questioning
You don't know if
evolution.
6,000 years from now dogs will be able to talk and they're basically people too?
Yeah. Oh, so that's your theory here. You
Just
think
saying.
that in 6,000 years, dogs will be able to talk and become people. Then that's why they should be shopping for molding with you.
You don't know. You don't know what
So they're on an
twist the world
upward
will take.
trajectory to standing on their back,
My dog
their
is very
hind
vocal.
quarters, and talking. That's what you see in your bow-tie dog?
Some dogs have
is
jobs.
the future? Some dogs have jobs.
ma-
Yes, dogs are amazing, but
Amazing.
they are dogs.
They are amazing.
So now a dog who works a hard day as a canine dog or something like that can't come home and have a beer at a brewery? Come on.
We've shaken the Magic Mraz 8-ball, and this is what we've come out with. Planet of the Dogs. Clothing on.
$30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
In the backfield, Mahomes on the Arrowhead logo on the grass, moving left to right. 1st and 10, shotgun snap. Left tackle blocked by Brown. Moving up is Mahomes. Hit as he throws, wobbly throw, but grabbed. It was a dying duck. It was caught by the tight end.
Mahomes is limping.
Mahomes is, oh my goodness. Holding onto his right ankle. Bending down, holding onto his right ankle. Now bending over in excruciating pain and leaning on his knees.
I obviously didn't want to go back and see it. I didn't want to go get the x-rays or whatever it was. I wanted just to continue to play. I told him I would do it at halftime, but Coach, in the best interest of me, he made me go back there and get that x-ray before he put me back in the game. And for a while, I thought I could get and play through it. And then he said, "I'm not putting you back in, so you might as well go get the x-ray. And then if it's negative or whatever, I'll put you back in."
It's DA on CBS Sports Radio.
Kevin Harlan on the Westwood One radio call. Obviously, Mahomes after the victory by the Chiefs to move into their 5th consecutive AFC Championship game, all of them at home. Just astounding consistency from Kansas City. Welcome back. DA with you here on CBS Sports Radio. And you can always watch the show at watchda.com. You can watch us on Twitch and watch us on YouTube as well to chat alongside other D-aliens. I admire the toughness of Patrick Mahomes. In fact, at the moment right now, the NFL channel, one of their streaming services, has replays of the 2010 NFC Championship game. And this was Packers and Bears at Soldier Field when Jay Cutler gets injured, and then Cutler stands on the sideline in a jacket, allowing Caleb Haney to dictate whether the Bears are going to go to a Super Bowl. Mahomes would never allow that. Mahomes was significantly injured, massively hobbled, could not move, and refused to come out of that football game. And this is a guy that's already won a Super Bowl. As Jay Cutler stood on the sideline watching his backups dictate whether he was going to go to a Super Bowl, Mahomes was like, no way you're taking me out of this game. You'll have to peel me off of the turf. Great. We love the competitive fire. You admire that intensity. You admire that a superstar wants to be in there no matter what. How could the Chiefs have allowed him to stay in that football game? I mean, he was on one leg. He couldn't get away from a pass rush. He could barely move. I'm looking at this going, this is negligence. You have to take him out of this football game. And ultimately, Andy Reid did. Ultimately, he told him, you're going to have to go get at least an x-ray before you come back in. Fine. And then they did the x-ray. Nothing was broken. But they didn't know that at that moment. They didn't know that. First of all, you don't know the severity of the injury in the moment. So take the guy out of the game once you see he can't run. But number two, he's a sitting duck back there. He's a sitting duck for the opposing defense to tee off on him. One bad hit and forget the ankle. It's something worse. It's a concussion. It's a shoulder. It's anything. I mean, I couldn't believe they let him stay in there for as long as they did before they ultimately sent him to go get the x-ray. Crazy. Totally crazy. The only update we have at the moment on Mahomes is that it is a high ankle sprain. But that's to be expected. That was to be expected. That kind of is how it looked the moment that it happened. So we wait this week and see. I find it virtually impossible that he doesn't play. Knowing the toughness of Mahomes, knowing what is on the line, you're not going to say like, oh, well, we'll just see if Chad Henne can get us to a Super Bowl, and then hopefully you'll be back by then. If he can walk, he's going to want to play. And a high ankle sprain, it is what it is. Sometimes just time doesn't heal it, especially within just a week. That however it just is, and he has to work through it. So I think the only question is it so severe he doesn't play? Now, Romo suggested that during the game yesterday, that there's a chance Mahomes doesn't play. I think that that's really, really small considering how badly he wants to compete in everything, and the fact that look at how bad it was on Sunday, and he refused to come out of the game and then came back in the second half. So I assume that he's going to play in this game. But is he going to be 100%? No chance. And a hobbled Patrick Mahomes is a significant blow to the Chiefs. It's a significant blow, no doubt. Now, look, Mahomes at 80% is still better than almost every other quarterback in the NFL. But with the way that Burrow's playing, there's no guarantee here. There's no guarantee that Mahomes at 80% is better than Joe Burrow at 100%. So I think this is just one of those things where we have to get to Wednesday, the injury report, Thursday, Friday to see if he's making any more progress. And by Saturday, you're waiting for the unnamed source, the anonymous source in Kansas City that somebody from CBS or Fox have, or NFL Network, that says, Mahomes X, Y, Z. I honestly think that's kind of what you're waiting for. Minimum, you're waiting for the minimum, the injury report on Wednesday, and then that anonymous source on Saturday to tell us what's going to happen Sunday morning when the guys wake up and, head to the stadium. Hit me up on Twitter, DA on CBS. We haven't even touched Giants and Eagles. I wanted to give Merez some time to just decompress. We all saw the Bob's Bar Show video, the live stream that was happening on Saturday night. It was a rough look. Everybody in that backyard, wasn't happy. Was yesterday, did the healing begin yesterday, or is the healing beginning today?
It began yesterday. I am totally in good spirits. I'm totally happy with the season that happened. There's no bummed outness about me at all this morning. yesterday it took me a good while. I was happy the games didn't start until 3 p.m. Eastern yesterday. I needed the time in the morning.
So yesterday you were still wallowing in self-pity.
Yeah, and then, the train moved on, and I got to be honest with you. The moment Zeke got plowed last night at center, to me, it was closure. I finally felt at peace, and I was going to be okay today.
So what percentage of feeling better is that the Cowboys looked like they did yesterday?
Oh, that's a huge part of it. A huge part of it. Number one, I didn't expect the Giants to have this kind of season, so I had to keep playing that card up. But knowing that the Cowboys lost the way the Cowboys are, I mean, it is like, I don't know, it's like breaking your leg but going out for an ice cream sundae after. It just at least helps the ease and helps the pain. So it's a very high percentage.
How's Bob doing?
He's okay.
Really?
He's okay. You would be stunned. There was maybe it's because they got their ass kicked, the Giants did, and they didn't have like that heartbreaking moment at the end that, we had 3 quarters to process what had gone on. But there was a collective, this was an unbelievable year, and the arrows pointed up. There was not this devastation that we all thought we would have.
Now, on Saturday night, you guys had decided to tailgate throughout the day to get ready for the nighttime kickoff. And then there was a late decision to watch outdoors at the bar. Now, you guys were not at Bob's Bar. Instead, it was Blob's Bar by the bay. Your Correct. Bar, your house. When was the decision made to watch outdoors? It was a pretty chilly evening.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we had tailgated, we had a DJ, we had cornhole, we had the whole thing. We had the Chief-Jaguar game outside of my backyard bar. And it got to about 7:45 where me and my sister were trying to straighten up some things that my dad said, what are you doing? I said, well, we're going to set up. I have everything set up downstairs. And, a lot of people that were over were all going to go our separate ways. They were neighbors and such. My dad said, no, train keeps rolling. We stay outside. I said,
wow, that's a Bob call.
Yeah, I said, are you sure, Dad? Like, you're at your knee. My dad was finally out of the house. No, my mom, no anything. He wanted to stay outside. I said, all right, you're warm enough? And he said, yes. And I turned around to everybody. I said, everybody wants to watch the game. You can go inside. I had my little indoor bar there, too. And everybody's like, no, we're warm enough. The heat was pumping under there, and that was it. Half an hour before kick, we made the decision. I'm going to be outside.
So you had the outdoor heaters going at Blob's.
Yep, and a nice fire going. And I have to say, it was very warm. There was a non-windy night where we were in Long Island. So it was about 42 degrees with heaters on a fire and no wind.
And wow, and Bob made that call.
Bob made the call. You know what? Bob's been sitting inside every day for 2 weeks with the bum knee. I think he was happy to get a little fresh air. The good vibes were going at the time until they started getting their ass kicked. It was a good day. He had a sausage and pepper sandwich off the grill. I think he was just feeling all right.
At halftime, did most people leave?
Yes. In fact, that shot that you tweeted out of me flipping over the table, I could tell you that those 4 people sitting in front of me, I have no idea who they are or what their names are, but they did leave at halftime. There were at least 15 people at my house all day in the tailgate. I have no idea who they are, and I'll probably never see them again.
Who invited them?
Well,
they're customers.
We call my house the Four Corners. At the Four Corners, everybody flies a Giant flag. We're all Giant fans. So they all were having their own watch parties. And they
Four Corners. What are this, gangs in New York?
I mean, seriously.
You guys the Dead Rabbits?
So they all had their friends and stuff over. So we had the DJ going and everybody was tailgating. So all their friends came to my yard and it was like a parking lot tailgate. So that's who those people were. And then at halftime, I think everybody decided we had enough of being outside and watching them lose by 16 touchdowns. So we're going to go to our separate parties.
By mine own decree, I declare the 4 points Giants territory, and we shall watch Giants-Eagles outdoors.
Right. Somebody on Twitter said, who's the guy with the Messier Winter Classic jersey? I said, I wish I could tell you. I'll probably never see him again the rest of their life, but they seem to enjoy my sister's mini meatballs.
In the 4 corners, decree, are you a Giants fan? Bill the Butcher asks.
DA working on the Daniel Day-Lewis here, huh?
We call it the 4 corners. Who calls there? Every street in America has 4 corners. So is every intersection the neighborhood of the 4 corners?
No, but everybody's got a Giant flag with the 4 corners. We're all Giant fans.
And speaking of your Giant flag, spare me the ceremonial takedown and a hanging of the Ranger flag I had to wear yesterday.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Show moves on.
That was ridiculous. Esmeralda buries the Giants flag. We play taps and bury the Giants flag.
And, stop making me be happy when the Giants lose. This is such a terrible side effect of this nonsense.
What did I do? What did I do? I thought we would lose and we lost.
Right, and I end up being happy that they lost because you're eating you-know-what. You're flipping tables. And I'm supposed to be upset, too, that the Giants are winning but losing. But instead, I'm enjoying it because you're heartbroken like a doof.
I tell you, that was some sad footage from Blob's Bar. That was a low-energy football watch party if I've ever seen it.
And here's a guy, I still don't know who he is, in the right corner of that looks like Bruce Arians. I have no idea who that is either.
Everybody bundled up, shivering cold, food getting cold in front of you as you watch the Giants fall behind by 3 touchdowns.
It was bad. It was bad.
And they're strangers. Give me an upside-down mic or a Bayou Bear. You've got no names hanging out in your yard. Your kids are running around about anonymous strangers.
Bayou Bear was there and decided to move inside because he wasn't comfortable eating in front of people on camera.
Okay.
Wow.
He was very self-conscious. His boss was watching whatever, and I guess he went to eat a wing and found out we were live.
Wait a second. Do I want to know where Bayou Bear works?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's a legal job or an illegal job, but the point is his boss was on our live stream, and he wanted to plow wings and sausage and peppers, and he decided he could not do that on camera, and he went and watched the game inside.
Because Bayou Bear's boss would not have doesn't have he thinks that, he's
well, I said
a guy that wouldn't smash tons of wings at a football tailgate.
I said you look like you weigh 380. What are you self-conscious about? He goes, I just can't do it. What they see is not what I feel. I can't eat on camera. So the camera scared off the Bayou Bear.
The Bayou Bear carries himself with such respect around the office that he couldn't be caught eating wings in front of his boss.
He didn't want to be critiqued on the way he ate or if he ate in a slobbish manner, so he was very afraid. He said our listeners can be very cruel, so he went inside.
So he could have shaved a dozen wings and one hero off his menu.
No, he did.
Instead, he went inside and ate it all.
He had a sausage and pepper sandwich, a burger, and about a dozen wings, but none were eaten on camera. He couldn't do it. He
Wow.
This is facts.
I'm shocked that the Bayou Bear could be self-conscious considering he proudly destroyed, was it 36 White Claws during a Bob's Bar show?
And sat there with his shirt off, having my mom yell at him?
Yeah, took his shirt off. His shirt was off before the show was over. He's embarrassed.
I think there's something about just like a camera just sitting there where you never know if the lights are really on. It spooked him. It spooked him, and he went inside, and he just ate his 10 dozen wings inside.
Did you have to have people sign a waiver that they were on camera?
Well, no, I just made I kind of announced before. I said, if you guys aren't comfortable with this, I will not do it. And everybody who I don't know, of course, was just yelling and screaming. And anybody who didn't, the way the camera was pointed really shifted to the other side. There was 15 people deep on the other side you couldn't see. So, yeah, everybody was okay with it.
Oh, man. More on the live stream of the Blob's Bar Saturday night, which was just glorious. Every part of it was glorious. Coming up later on in the show, but standing by with our headlines right now is a kind sir, Mr. Andrew Bogish.
DA, it's all sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance gives you protection on the phone, online, or on the app 24/7 because things happen 24/7. Get a quote at Progressive.com. The Cowboys, for the most part, kept Purdy's Brock in check, but the Niners rookie QB did make the throw of the night.
Going to roll Purdy the opposite way, going left. Purdy time, going to throw back right, and it is juggled, and George Kittle makes the catch to midfield.
Whoa!
What a catch by George Kittle on the throwback there from Brock Purdy.
Greg Papa and Tim Ryan on Niners Radio. Kittle's juggling catch kickstarted the Niners' lone TD drive. It finished with Christian McCaffrey's 2-yard run on the first play of the fourth quarter. San Francisco then negotiated the final 14-plus minutes for a 19-12 win. So Purdy's remarkable emergence continues on to Philly and the NFC title game.
Right now I'm still focused in a sense with, just the game and, what we could have done or to be better, But, yeah, it's pretty cool to, see the clock at 0 and then you see, the Niners over the Cowboys. That's pretty sweet in the playoffs.
Purdy threw for just 214, but no major mistakes, while Dak Prescott threw 2 more interceptions, leading to 6 Niner points. The Cowboys have now lost their last 7 divisional round games. Their last NFC Championship game appearance remains after the 1995 season. The Bengals and Chiefs will play the nightcap on Sunday. Cincy didn't let Buffalo win yesterday and moved the AFC title game to Atlanta, and boy, did they love pointing that out.
They have to formulate the plans for coin tosses, and they got to formulate the plans for neutral site games, and we just keep screwing it up for everybody, and I hate that for people that have to endure all those logistical issues. And then we just keep screwing it up. So I'm sorry.
A very sarcastic Zach Taylor
really good.
after yesterday's 27-10 demolition of the Bills in Buffalo. Taylor there referencing as well their Week 18 win over the Ravens that negated a coin flip for home field in their playoff meeting. Cincy led 14-0 after just 11 minutes yesterday. Never let the Bills offense get going. Josh Allen managed just 265 yards and a rushing score. His last pass picked off near the goal line. DA just mentioned this, an MRI reportedly confirming a high ankle sprain for Patrick Mahomes, so the expectation remains he plays this weekend. Cowboys running back Tony Pollard apparently suffered a broken lower left leg yesterday and needs surgery. The Lakers were down 25 at halftime in Portland last night.
110-105, LeBron's got it. Top of the key. LeBron dribbling toward the basket. Powers up. 10-footer. Good. 37 for LeBron. Lakers lead by 7 as we go inside 3 minutes.
That's John Ireland on Lakers Radio. LeBron leading a second-half surge for a 121-112 win. This is the second largest halftime rally in Laker history. LeBron finished with 37 points and 11 boards. The Nets were 120-116 winners at the Warriors behind 38 from Kyrie. And the Nuggets saw their 9-game overall win streak and 16-game home win streak end 101-99 to the Thunder. Nikola Jokic missing his second in a row with left hamstring tightness. Men's number 1 Houston fell at home yesterday, 56-55 to Temple, after number 2 Kansas lost on Saturday, making this the first time in the poll era that the top 2 teams fell at home on back-to-back days. On ice, the Bruins blanked the Sharks 4-0 for a 5-game win streak, and Clayton Keller with a hat trick in the Coyotes' 4-1 home win over the Golden Knights. And John Rahm won the American Express in California by 1 shot over rookie Davis Thompson. Rahm has won both starts this year early in the PGA season. He's won 4 of his last 6 overall. DA, back to you.
Thank you, Bogues. Yeah, Bogues just mentioned that the last time the Cowboys played in an NFC Championship game was 1995. And I was watching that documentary. I think it was a 30 for 30, might have been a Football Life, Tale of Two Cities that NFL Films did that kind of compared this longstanding Cowboys and Niners rivalry. And I was watching this yesterday early in the morning doing Sunday Morning Football. And, you know, it was a reminder yesterday when the Cowboys and Niners got together that, you know, it's such a great historic NFL rivalry. But when these two teams were really cooking, 92, 93, 94, they met in all of those NFC championship games, and the winner would always win the Super Bowl. That's a long time ago, and that's the last time, you know, the Cowboys have played in an NFC championship game was a long time ago. It was during those glory years. Meantime, the Niners have played in 2 Super Bowls in that time and played in 3 consecutive NFC championship games in the early teens. So just a reminder that the Cowboys have not been that far in 3 decades when it was just a totally different sport.
Unreal. Derek Jeter hadn't even begun his Rookie of the Year campaign yet.
It's a crazy long time ago. When we come back here on the show, a Monday staple. It's Momentous Monday, Inspiration in Sports. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Charles is in Birmingham, listening online to CBSSportsRadio.com. What's up, Charles?
Hey, what's happening, man?
How you doing, buddy?
It's about time somebody had some sense. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You just gave me an early Christmas present. Thank you. It's over. They through. It's over. Don't watch the game Sunday night. Go to bed early where you can be on time for your job on Monday morning. Because after they get through getting beat down into the turf, then you're going to lose your job if you're late. So please, whatever you do, as soon as you get through eating, take a shower and go to bed. It's over. Jason Garrett, is an average or below average coach. This is where he been all this time. But, Jerry Jones loved him. He loved him until he let Terrell Owens go. He had to let him go, didn't he? He loved him too. Then Tony Romo, he loved him also. Oh, just a sweetheart. Box of candy. Had to let him go too. Now we only got just 2 more pieces to go. Jason Garrett and the tight end. Make it a clean sweep. It's over. Take your tickets. Take your game tickets. Sell them. I should have known something was wrong when I was taking my son for a haircut. And the guy had tickets to the game. I said, wait a minute, these tickets are hard to get. I said, where you get them from? He must have known they was going to lose, too. It's over. It's over. It's over. I've been a Cowboy fan since 1978. I've seen the worst of the Cowboys and the best of the Cowboys. But when you give them 6 sacks in a game, and then you go over there, and then you go after that game and go get you something to eat, you shouldn't even want that to eat. You shouldn't even want it. If they see you at McDonald's, they shouldn't even want to serve you. Say, you're the one who gave us them six sacks. We don't want to give you. We ain't got no more food. I'm sick of the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm the biggest fan. I tell you this, come to me, man. Don't go to no more Dallas Cowboy fans in America. Come to me, and I'm telling y'all, the whole world, it's over. I like you, Dak, but you ain't going to be playing in the season much longer because you're going to be hurt. It's over, and I just want to hear your opinion about it.
You win.
Charles in Birmingham on fire. That was one of the best calls we've had all football season. That was absolutely fantastic. If you go to McDonald's, they should say, we ain't got no more food. Oh, that was good. It is over. It's over.
At 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Smiling like Little Mo every morning. It's a momentous Monday.
Hey, every day can be a better day despite the challenge. All you gotta do is leave it better than you found it. It's gonna get difficult to stand, but hold your balance. I just say whatever, cause there is no way you're around it.
I just think people should know that if you stay positive, everything will be fine. You just eat, drink, and breathe positive thoughts. That's all you gotta do, and everything will be good.
I wanted to introduce you this morning to a man named David Seville. He is Clemson's equipment manager. And he is an inspiration for that program and for that community and for, I think, the entire fan base that roots for the Clemson Tigers. I think college football fans in general. David was born with Down syndrome and has an intellectual disability, and yet he has never let that stand in the way of anything he's wanted to accomplish. And he was a graduate of Clemson Life, a program that prepares students with intellectual disabilities for employment and independent living. He's been on this staff for a while now and around the program for a long time. And the guy is just all heart and spirit and great attitude. And it's just, he's such an amazing symbol of just being able to use your attitude to achieve great things. And a couple of years ago, there was a moment that went viral when Dabo granted him a pair of Super Bowl tickets as a congratulations, as a thank you for being, such an important part of the program, and the team just went crazy. He has earned the Walter Camp Football Foundation's American Hero Award as well. And he's been around the program for more than a decade, and it's just amazing to watch. He's been put into local sports halls of fame, if you can believe that. I mean, he's a hero around the program, and it's just amazing to watch. And he had a quote recently that I saved and I look at quite often, and I just thought this is so perfect for Momentous Monday. David Seville's quote: "The only disability in life is a bad attitude." Boy, that's some wisdom, isn't it? The only disability in life is a bad attitude. And David's got one of the best attitudes ever, one of the best personalities and attitudes and approaches, and he attacks the day every day. He just is amazing at, his effort that he puts into being the equipment manager, and his spirit and his smile and his energy is infectious, and everybody loves him. So he's an amazing human being. He's an amazing person, and he is inspiring everybody every single day that he's around them. And I thought that quote was one of those where, you write that down, you keep it on your desk at work. You write that down and you pin it on your bulletin board at home. You put it on the whiteboard, or you write it on a sticky note and you put it on the fridge. The only disability in life is a bad attitude. With a good attitude, you could accomplish anything. Awesome. This guy is just amazing. I love him. That is your Momentous Monday. You can always check out the show in podcast form. Remember that full episodes of the show are available, or the best of the show. The full 4 hours or the best of the program is available every single day in podcast form. So simply search The DA Show on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. So we have our AFC and NFC championship game set. We have our times that they will be played as well. We have a rematch of the AFC championship game from last year, and we have Eagles and Niners back-to-back NFC championship games for the 49ers. It's going to be Niners and Eagles first. That's going to be a 3 o'clock Eastern kick on Fox, noon Pacific, and then the late kick, 6:30 Eastern time on Sunday, is Bengals in Kansas City against the Chiefs at Arrowhead. That's a CBS broadcast. And so, again, early game, 3 o'clock Eastern is Niners-Eagles from Philly. Late kick, 6:30 Eastern time is Bengals and Chiefs from Kansas City. And I'm sure it's going to get cold in both places. We get outdoor games, both on natural grass, on Conference Championship Sunday. I'm in my nirvana football-wise. And even though the game didn't live up to it, oh, God, the snow falling yesterday in Buffalo was just amazing, was it not? As I watched, I said, this is going to look great on NFL films. Because as you can slow it down, as you can watch it in slow motion, with the way that NFL films lights everything and what they have as the backdrop behind. Oh, it's just, and when CBS had that overhead shot and the sun had gone down and it was all darkness except for the stadium lit up and the snow falling down. That was just, you got goosebumps. Oh man, this looks amazing. When we come back though, the Bills, the site was great, the team was not. Story next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
I am trashing the Houston Texans coaching staff last night, and largely coaching staff that feel like this is okay. Wearing slovenly clothes on the sideline of a football game. I understand Bill Belichick wears a cutoff hoodie. I understand Bill Belichick looks like a hobo. It doesn't mean you need to. It is so disrespectful to me when I see the Houston Texans coaching staff wearing hoodies and then sweatpants. Sweatpants. They are sweatpants. Now, I'm not here telling you they need to dress up like a baseball manager in an actual uniform. I am saying, what happened to khakis? We can't have a pair of khakis? No slacks? All right, you want to be comfortable with the hoodie? All right, it's team-issued apparel. Can we just not have the same attire that you would rake leaves with? Or the same attire you would actually go to the mailbox with? Or the same attire that you would drop off the kids at practice with? I mean, can we just dress up your millionaire coaches or you're worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Can you? Generations ago. And don't look at me, Mraz, because I don't even want to see your stupid, puffy, dumb face on this.
Typical you.
Okay?
Go
Because
on.
you are such a slob anyway that I know what your take is. Why can't we be comfortable? Because you.
No, the pants keep them warm. It's 30 below in Baltimore last night. The khakis, you got a wind drift right up to your knees.
Whatever happened to Vince Lombardi's legs? He didn't need sweatpants at the Ice Bowl.
Vince Lombardi died in the 60s. I bet you had hypothermia.
You are such a slovenly, fat American loser that you would love this, okay? You would love it. Oh, why can't we be comfortable? I'm allowed to be lazy. This is the same guy that said, I'm an American. It allows me to be lazy. That's exactly what this is. In America, consistently, generationally, we feel like we can be more lazy and more sloppy and more stupid. That's just what we think. It's like this is our lot. We're Americans, so we can be dumb and lazy and stupid and fat. That's what we like, okay? And when I see football coaches do this, it's just like getting onto a plane and wearing your jumpsuit or wearing your sweatpants or wearing tank tops. It's just like college kids going to a lecture in sweatpants or their pajamas. Okay? Have some respect and decorum for what you are doing. I'm not asking for a three-piece suit. But a generation ago, Tom Landry wore a fedora and a suit on the sideline. Vince Lombardi had a hat and a coat, a nice coat. Okay, you've got guys who used to wear sweaters and slacks, and somehow this has just devolved into, why don't we wear sweatpants on the sideline? Why don't we just wear sweatpants? Like we're lounging around on a Sunday making brunch. You're outdoors. I wouldn't even wear that to work. I would not wear sweatpants to work. And they're on the sidelines of an NFL game, and people are telling me, well, Bill Belichick does it. That shouldn't be the bar. Why are we allowing everybody in society to be sloppy and lazy and fat and stupid? You've got the Texans coaching staff worth hundreds of thousands of dollars apiece. You've got a coach making millions of dollars. Yeah, let's just dress like we're going to the gym. Yeah, why don't we just do that? I mean, come on. It's a disgrace.
Hot trash.
It really is.
Two things. You're calling these guys lazy. They sleep and wake up at the facility working all hours. That's the epitome of not being lazy.
I'm not calling them lazy. I'm saying we in America have just accepted acting and dressing and looking fat and lazy all the time.
People might be more productive being more comfortable. It's time we change this. It's like the people who dress up to go to holidays. Why should anybody be in a three-piece suit to sit down at Christmas dinner when you got ham gravy spilling all over yourself? You should be in pajamas.
You're a fat slob. I mean, let's just call it as it is.
But more people should be fat slobs.
Yeah, they really should, because then we would get a lot more done. Because then we would just have a nation of 350 million Mrazes that are only in it for themselves, don't do a lot of work, and want to be lazy and sloppy all the time. That's what would be perfect for this country.
We'd fire on all cylinders.
Perfect. No, you've got...
I've also seen you fly with a dirty Mets hat, by the way. You're not exactly, flying like you're going to the Met.
Okay, so I wore a hat once. Or yes, I would wear a hat, yes, to pull it over my eyes so that I could sleep. But I'm not going in there with sweatpants. I'm not going in there with sandals. I'm not going in there with some dirty... have you ever seen people on flights that have the big tank tops, their pits are hanging out?
I've done it.
Yeah, you're gross. You're gross.
If you want to continue to live life like it's 1929 and horse racing's the number one sport in America, do you. Sweatpants are in, deal with it.
Yeah, because I would actually live with some type of decorum, some type of credibility, some type of integrity. unlike you. It just wants to be a slovenly pig all the time. And you're proud. It's like, yeah, check it out. Every piece of clothing I have has 3 different stains on it. This one's nacho cheese. This one's buffalo chicken dip. This one's pizza. Isn't that awesome? No, it's not awesome. Get new pants. You're a pig.
So we've hit a nerve here. I can see we've hit a nerve. I know where I stand. After the show, I will go my way. You go your way. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Have a good day. And all my homies gonna ride today. And all these mommies look fly today. And all we wanna do is get by today. Hey, we're gonna have a good day.
Mornings are hard. Your sports radio show doesn't have to be.
I'm so happy you guys are still alive.
I am excited.
I am so happy. Laugh and learn every morning aboard the mothership.
Ooh. Gonna have a good day. And all my homies gonna ride today. And all these mommies look fly today. And all we wanna do is get by today. Hey, we're gonna have a good day.
It's gonna be a good day with DA.
Hey, duh.
I do love the duh.
Happy Being Alive Day.
Mornings on CBS Sports Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah! Happy Being Alive Day, everybody. We thank you for joining us here aboard the mothership on a fabulous Monday. We are breaking down everything from the NFL playoff weekend, so you can hit us up with your thoughts at 855-212-4CBS or on Twitter, DA on CBS. We begin this hour talking about the AFC game yesterday as the Bengals ran roughshod over the Buffalo Bills. And once again, the Bills leave their fans wanting, waiting, and hoping for more. Let's listen into yesterday's Bengals win.
Allen back to throw on 2nd and 5. Pump fakes. Now he's going to launch it deep downfield. Intercepted by Cam Taylor-Britt. Nice. And that is officially coffin nailed.
Playing from behind is never fun. But we had our opportunity to make it a one-score game before half and didn't take advantage of that. Didn't score a touchdown that first drive in the second half. We only got 3. And against teams like this, with a quarterback like that, you're going to have to score 6 and 7. So we didn't do a good enough job of that tonight.
Allen after the loss. That was Dan Horde on Bengals radio. The Bills are a dream. The Bills are something that feels real, but you just can't touch. Feels real in the moment, but it evaporates. And you wake up and you're like, oh, but I want to remember that part. And that's, oh, I thought that was real and it felt so real, but oh. There's nothing not to like about the Bills. I mean, unless you're an AFC East rival, Bills fans are as loyal, as passionate, as intense as they come. The scene at Bills games, it's great. It's like a cartoon. It makes football feel like more than just, a bunch of guys going out there and playing. It feels like it's a community endeavor and that there's fun and there's characters and you can get mustard and ketchup squirted on you and you can break folding tables and you can wear Zubaz clothes from the 90s and all is good because it's a football game and it's people coming together having a good time. And that's a really kind of powerful image. And they play outdoors in Western New York in the elements. And of course, yesterday it was snowing. Of course, because it's a playoff game in January in Western New York, and it always snows. It's amazing. There's stories about ski resorts in the Alps having to close because there's no snow. Everybody's temperatures are rising. So many places, ski resorts can't create enough snow to keep up with keeping their doors open. And in Buffalo, it snows every day. I mean, right? In Buffalo, there's a blizzard every single day. Yesterday, of course it's snowing. And of course it's sold out. And of course those fans believe again. And maybe this year is different. because this year has some magical moments, and then Damar Hamlin's miraculous recovery, and Damar's at the game, and he's visited with the team, and there's just something to that just feels so weighty and so huge, bigger than us and bigger than football. And no matter what happened this season, Damar Hamlin's impact as a token of light and of love and of spirit and of bringing people together, that will never wane. But there did feel like there was something big about this year's Buffalo team that helped the community, move past that awful shooting at the Tops grocery store back in May and the deadly blizzard a couple of weeks ago that killed more than 40 people, and the Damar Hamlin story that everybody's heart just sank and everybody was praying and hoping. I mean, there did feel like there was something a little bit bigger this year about the Bills. And yesterday was another letdown. And this is not to take anything away from the Bengals, because Cincinnati is a great football team, and the Bengals, they deserve the credit for winning the way that they did. But, man, the Bills no-showed. Boy, did the Bills defense get chewed up and spit out. And boy, did the Bills offense never really look in sync. They never really have looked like, they never looked at that moment like they had a real game plan. It was kind of, once again, what the Bills stumble into, which is hope Josh Allen makes 5 throws nobody else in the NFL can make, and hope that they go for broke and they score touchdowns. And it's not a recipe to win. And I talked about on Friday how everybody kind of looked at the Bengals as they're going to have to prove it. The Bengals have to prove it. They got to go on the road in this game. Now, they didn't look very good against the Ravens. They got to prove it. And I thought, no, the Bills have to prove it, because the Bills are the team that have consistently kind of let down in big spots. And Sean McDermott oversaw a Bills renaissance. And he will always be the guy that took the Bills from laughingstocks and the 6-10s and 7-9s and never making the playoffs and nearly 20 years of lost football and made them a perennial contender. But Sean McDermott's now overseen a lot of bad playoff losses and bad losses in general, where you just left scratching your head going, he got outcoached again. I don't need to go through the hit list on this because Bills fans are going to have their stomachs turn over, but the Hail Murray, you get beat on a play where there's one wide receiver in the end zone and you have 3 defensive backs around him. You lose the Minnesota game earlier this year where you blow a 17-point lead as your quarterback throws 2 end zone interceptions and your team fumbles at the goal line. The only thing you can't do at the 1-yard line is fumble, and that's exactly what happened. And the Vikings pull off a 4th and 19. They lost last year because they didn't kick the ball out. They didn't squib the ball. They kicked it out of the back of the end zone, giving the Chiefs just enough time to come back and tie the game and then win in overtime. They had the collapse against the Houston Texans of the playoffs in 2019. When they held a big lead at halftime and then let the Texans come all the way back to win. They have had a tendency to have some really bad moments in big spots. And yesterday, if it wasn't Zach Taylor versus Sean McDermott, it certainly was the Bengals defense against the Bills offense. And the Bills offense got worked. Absolutely worked. The Bills are now the ultimate tease because they broke through to make the playoffs in 2017, and that was that Andy Dalton throw that helped backdoor the Bills into the playoffs. And, you just wanted to be in the postseason for the first time ever in 2017. So you got in there, lost to the Jaguars quickly. Then 2 years later, you got back to the playoffs, and it was about, now we got to win a playoff game. And they led the Texans early and then collapsed late in overtime and couple of really bizarre decisions by Josh Allen. That was a tough loss. But okay, you come back in 2020 and you get all the way to an AFC Championship game. And that was, now we're knocking on the door. And they got beat at Arrowhead by the Chiefs by 2 touchdowns. And you're thinking, okay, maybe they're not at this level yet, but now is when the door is open to win Super Bowls. And they made it their cause to get better than the Chiefs. And they spent the money on Von Miller. And they went and they got Stephon Diggs. And they're making the point that, we're playing in that weight class. And last year they get to that AFC divisional round game after slaughtering the Patriots. But they blow it. They blow it when it mattered most against the Chiefs. And then this year, they got worked over by the Bengals at home. And it wasn't a close game. So now, this year was supposed to be, this is the year they finally break through. They're the Super Bowl favorite coming into the season. They open up the year and they blow the doors off the Rams, defending Super Bowl champs, and they look great in the first 2 weeks. You're like, wow, nobody can play with this team. And then by the end of the season, you saw that there's elite teams like the Chiefs and the Bengals and the Bills weren't at that moment. They were not good enough in the moment yesterday. Now, you want to make the argument that perhaps they were emotionally exhausted after this season. I'm totally listening to that, and I could totally understand it. And did the Damar Hamlin situation just, again, cause them to be exhausted by the end of this one, and they just ran into a much better team yesterday? Totally fair. Totally fair. Totally. And is it possible the Bengals are just the best team in football and that's just, they got beaten up by the best team in football? Distinctly possible. But now we're at the point where you can't make the Bills the Super Bowl favorite anymore. That can't happen. And that I think is the difference, that these last 2 years have been, we know what the goal is. It's winning a Super Bowl. It's at least getting there. And anything less than that is a disappointment. And they have not gotten to even the AFC Championship game in either one. And so now coming into next season, you can't make them the favorites in the AFC. And you have to wonder if Josh Allen and the Bills are just going to be the third best team of this era in the AFC, where it's going to be the Chiefs and the Bengals, trading Super Bowl appearances. And that the Bills are just never quite at that level. That they're really good, but they're never quite at that level. It's a small sample size, granted. It's only a couple of years, and Josh Allen's got plenty more, and hopefully Stephon Diggs does as well, and the rest of those guys. Diggs screaming on the sideline at Josh Allen was not a good look either, and it just felt like there was a team ready for the next step and a team that wasn't yesterday. And that's why the Bills have now become a really tough tease. You want to believe in them. You really do. But now they're giving us reason to now doubt them every time they're in that spot. Which is a bummer. Because they're an inherently very likable team and a fan base that deserves finally seeing that Super Bowl. Last night, this Cowboys and Niners game, I'll reiterate, I thought that Brock Purdy, despite never feeling comfortable, never wavered either. And yesterday, you could make the argument one way or the other. Oh, this is definitely the guy for the future. Or, no, this can't be the guy for the future. Niners move on. Niners still playing. Niners still have a chance at a ring. Brock Purdy starting an NFC Championship game. God bless. But there were a number of moments in yesterday's game where you said, Purdy's really kind of gotten exposed here. Where you need a big throw, you need a big play, and it's not coming to fruition. And you wonder if it's just, now here's the limitations of a 7th-round quarterback. Here's the limitations of a rookie quarterback. Here, you're looking at it right now. I'm not sure. I don't know, what the real Purdy and Niners will be, and I think the Niners are incredibly resilient. And when they absolutely had to have a drive, they made the drive happen. And that was the touchdown drive, capped off by the McCaffrey run. And, they got it done when it mattered most. But yesterday was a lot about how great the Niners defense was against the Cowboys attack and kind of just making it work with enough field goals and one touchdown drive. Whereas they will have to be better than that coming up on Sunday against the Eagles. They will have to be. I don't think the Eagles are going to make as many boneheaded mistakes as the Cowboys did yesterday. And I don't think that Jalen Hurts is going to throw 2 picks and nearly throw a third. So Niners offense will have to roll easier than they did yesterday, where everything kind of felt laborious. And, you're looking at that going, maybe this is what Brock Purdy actually really is instead of the last 5 weeks. And then they come out with a win and you go, yeah, but he never wavered. Yeah, but he didn't throw the back-breaking interception. There wasn't a terrible strip sack. He didn't make a terrible throw into coverage. So, you know what? Sometimes you have a bad day against a really good defense like the Cowboys. But I don't know if yesterday provided any clarity on the Brock Purdy future, right? On Twitter, hit me up, DA on CBS. When we come back here on the show, we've got Soundcheck, your best audio of the day from divisional round weekend. And that includes Trevor Lawrence after that loss at Arrowhead. And our man Joey Zanaboni back with a viral call. You'll want to check it out. It's next, DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
But I'm going to say that guy's my best friend. I think he's one of the best. He's the best receiver in the NFL.
That's my best friend. Devontae Adams, a Fresno State guy as well. That's my best friend. Look, Derek, I would just focus on your job this year with your wide receivers and your offense and the guys that are there. Because it feels like every year Carr is competing for his job. So to me, it's nice that they're best friends.
That guy's my best friend.
That's my best friend.
Best friend.
Can't stop talking about Devontae Adams. Can't stop fantasizing about Devontae Adams. Can't stop telling everybody how great friends they are. But look, Derek, you just got to focus on your guys, your job, your offense, the people that are in that locker room. Because after this season, again, kind of feels like the Raiders are ready to move on every offseason from you.
My best friend.
My best friend. Friend. And that is your sound check.
Best friend.
Best friends. Friends forever.
Friend.
We'll always be best friends.
Best friend.
Talking about friends forever. Friends.
My best friend.
My best friend.
Friend.
Doesn't Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion have a song called Best Friend out right now? Sure, that's what Derek Carr is listening to. Oh, Doja Cat? Got it.
It's on my playlist.
You know you did, Damon.
You know you listen to Doja Cat, Damon.
My best friend.
Best friend.
That my best friend. She a real bad got her own money. She don't need no on the dance floor. She had 2-3 drinks.
Best friend.
She throw it out and come back in. That's my best friend. She a real bad drive her own car. She don't need
best
no
friend.
gift in a strip club. No, my girl gon' tip. Now she twerking. She throw it out and come back in.
That guy's my best friend.
Is that my bestie in a tessie? Fresh blowout, skin on town, she ready.
Friend.
Look good with a T at the end. I'm a hyper every time, now my muff.
Best friend.
She been down since the jellies and the bobos. Now me stepping out the Jeep and my nutlos. When we pull up to the scene.
Elite work from Pete the Body Bellotti.
That guy's my best friend.
Doja Cat and Derek Carr on Devontae Adams.
Best friend.
Oh, that's excellent work. That is excellent work. That is elite work by Pete the Body right there. Oh, that's great. That is great. Yeah.
Oh, okay. My best friend.
That's my best friend. Doja Cat.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Three, two, one. This is Damon Amendolara with your Odyssey Sports Minute, sponsored by TaxSlayer. Start filing for free at TaxSlayer.com. So in New York, the franchise is sinking. The team is terrible. The coach is a bozo. The players have quit. And it doesn't feel like it's going to get any better anytime soon. Now you have a report that the Giants players, multiple Giants players, have called out Ben McAdoo, how he's lost the locker room, he's lost the team, he's in it for himself. Which is hysterical because remember that soundbite that we kept playing last week? Ben McAdoo insists that he's the beacon of light.
You know, Ron, I'm the beacon of light and I'm the beacon of hope.
This guy is the beacon of light and the beacon of hope. So why would any player not want to play for him? Blinded by the light, Ben McAdoo's the beacon of that light.
You know, Ron, I'm the beacon of
You can use the free Odyssey app, and you can use the free CBS Sports app. Either one streams the DA show and the rest of CBS Sports Radio. You can also listen to us by telling your smart speaker to play CBS Sports Radio. Okay, on to sound check this morning. Your best audio of the day. Here's Trevor Lawrence after the loss at Arrowhead on Saturday.
You know, you worked so hard to get here, and nobody thought we were going to be here, and you know we had our shot, and that's what hurts, you know. So we'll be back. I'm confident in that, and this is more the beginning than it is the end of something.
I completely agree. I think it's the beginning of something. And you saw a Jaguars team that, granted, couldn't take advantage when Patrick Mahomes was injured, and Mahomes clearly was not nearly what he could have been, so the score was closer than it probably should have been. But the Jaguars didn't get embarrassed, and the Jaguars will be back in the playoffs. And I thought it was a very powerful moment to see Trevor Lawrence walk off that field, walk up the ramp to the tunnel, and then turn around at the mouth of the tunnel and salute and shake hands with all of his teammates as they came by him. It was such an innate act of leadership of, I'm the quarterback, I'm the leader, congrats guys, great season, we'll be back, thanks for the year. And he did that for all of the guys coming by him. He didn't just hightail it to the showers and get himself all dolled up. He didn't end up going to the locker room and sitting in his own, depression or whatever. He stood there in front of all of his teammates as they walked by and congratulated every single one of them. And it was authentic. It's not like a Russell Wilson thing that comes off as so fake. It was authentic. I love Trevor Lawrence, and I thought that moment spoke very highly of him. Here's Andy Murray at the Australian Open, unhappy that he can't use the bathroom during the match, yelling at the official. Let's listen.
Do you know something? I respect the rules. It's so disrespectful that the tournament has us out here until 4 o'clock in the morning and we're not allowed to go and take a It's a joke. It is a joke. And you know it as well. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to you. It's disrespectful to the ball children. It's disrespectful to the players. And we're not allowed to go to the toilet. Ridiculous.
It's disrespectful to everyone. It's disrespectful to you that we're not able to go to the toilet. Mraz, as the Sultan of the oopsies, how do you feel about not being able to use the bathroom during the match?
Well, the only thing I'll say is other sports have the halftime and breaks. Tennis doesn't have that, right? Basically, you just keep going.
Yeah.
That's more of a tennis question. So that is insulting. You can't have kidney and bladder problems. If you have to go, you have to go. I mean, that's a joke. You shouldn't have to just sit there and hold it. What are you supposed to do? Have an accident? Go down. You're playing a professional match in front of a crowd. You got to get to a restroom.
Okay, but what are you supposed to do? When do you stop the match to then use the restroom and make everybody wait?
Well, you play, it feels like a million sets. I think you could stop a set and run to the bathroom. I don't think you could stop mid-serve, right?
Okay, but I mean, we don't make any other game pause to go use the bathroom. We don't stop the World Series because the starting pitcher has to go to the bathroom.
Well, but the starting pitcher has a break when his team's batting, and the other games have clock stoppages where you could substitute out. This is a one-on-one sport without technically a halftime or anything like that, and you're just asking this one person who's constantly drinking Gatorades and what else because they're running back and forth, that now their body has to function unlike a normal human body and just hold it? We're taught as little kids, don't hold it when you have to go. Now we teach the tennis players they have to hold it? It is very backward.
Why do we tell kids not to hold it?
I think because there's somewhere along the lines, unless it's an old website, it does create problems internally, doesn't it? The more you hold, the more your kidneys are going to defunct.
Your kidneys will defunk?
Well, yeah, whatever you call it. They might shut down, they might fail, or it could lead to problems down the line. I think you want a healthy release valve, so you're not allowed to hold it. And by telling an adult now to hold it, that's obscene.
Okay, all right.
I mean, marathon runners go in their pants, right?
I just wanted to get the ruling.
All right. I'm the bathroom guy.
Bogues, is it true that you can play like a 5-hour match and not be able to go to the bathroom?
No. So the specifics of this problem were Murray had already gone to the bathroom before, and there is a cap on your bathroom breaks because players do use them strategically as a timeout to like try and break somebody's rhythm and stuff. So there are rules for this. The argument, though, that probably takes you in Murray's favor is that this was happening at like 3:30 in the morning. They were playing for more than 5 hours and 5 sets. So you probably could tack on extra bathroom breaks as the match goes farther and farther. And I think in there he's yelling about, you're making me play at 3 a.m. We didn't start till 11 p.m. You could at least do me the favor of letting me go to the bathroom.
Wow. So, yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like as a football game goes on into overtime, you get to reset the timeouts.
Yeah. Or you
But
get
is
two
that right?
challenges right and you get a third one. It's like that.
They were playing at 3 o'clock in the morning local time. How can your body even function if it's 3 o'clock in the morning?
The match ended at 4:06 a.m.
Oh, my goodness.
Hold on. If it's a 4 or 5 hour match, who cares? So 3 a.m. means because it's the middle of the night, you have to go to the bathroom more?
Well, I think the fairness argument is that you made me wait to play till 11 p.m. because of your crazy scheduling, and then you don't know how long we're going to play once we start, so you could do me a solid at 3:30 in the morning when we're still having fans here watching us. You could let me go to the bathroom now.
Could you imagine if last night the NFC divisional playoff Cowboys-Niners started at 11 p.m. local time?
Ridiculous.
At local time. That they were playing a football game at 3 o'clock in the morning their time? We would be like, this is way too dangerous.
Yeah, how come nobody's complaining about tennis's pace of play?
I think you did the other day.
Maybe they are.
Yeah.
Maybe they are.
Finally, in indoor soccer, Joey Zanaboni is the voice of the St. Louis Ambush. And they had a huge call and a huge goal over the weekend. Let's listen in.
Doing his job here against Tetsane, had to get creative. Schmerman won't let it out of school. Tetsane trying to spin. Christo looking good here. Robbie just bullying. Andaras keeps his feet. Christo peeling it back. Robbie! Oh! Smoother than an artificial Christmas tree decorated with miniature lubricator bottles. Robbie Christo!
are we doing here?
Did Zanaboni say smoother than an artificial Christmas tree decorated with miniature Lubriderm bottles?
He
Yes,
did.
he did. Yes, he did.
Smoother than an artificial Christmas tree decorated with miniature Lubriderm bottles.
Zanaboni just keeps hitting him out of the park. Also, don't you love that Zanaboni can go from such a low broadcast voice like this to then roaring after a goal? That's an amazing buildup. You know, as his voice is getting bigger and bigger and louder, you're like, oh, this is a big play about to happen. Just starts off like this, and then gets a little bit louder, a little bit louder, a little bit louder.
He is like the song Shout. A little bit softer now, a little bit louder now. He also texted me this. He said, just for you guys. It's almost like he's now calling indoor soccer. He's like, I got to get one for the DA show. We haven't had one in a while.
Wow. Well, look, Soundcheck appreciates it. No doubt about it. Helps out Mraz's work.
Zanaboni's supposed to have been too much Shep and JR. I got to get back in the mix here.
Shout. Can we hear that whole call again? Because I just want to track how low he is early in the call to how he builds up to a crescendo.
Guernsey doing his job here against Tetsane. Had to get creative. Schmerman won't let it out of school. Tetsane trying to spin. Christo looking good here. Robbie just pulling. Andaras keeps his feet. Christo peeling it back. Robbie! Oh! Smoother than an artificial Christmas tree decorated with miniature Lubriderm bottles. Robbie Christo!
Testano needs to get creative here.
It's like a different person in the beginning.
It really is. It's great. He's got huge range, you know. As a broadcaster, you know, they say you want a bunch of different tools in the toolbox. And so if you can speak real low, real slow, that's a different tool. If you can get really excited and really hyper, that's a different tool. He's got them all. He's got all the tools. This Testano needs to get creative here. The St. Louis ambush never sounded so good. And that's your sound check. Testano.
Schmerman won't let it out of school. Tetsane trying to spin.
Tetsane. This NFL playoffs, every Westwood One NFL broadcast streams live for free, all on the road to Super Bowl 57. You can catch all of the action if you're not in front of the TV on the free Odyssey app, on WestwoodOneSports.com, on Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. It's all sponsored by AutoZone. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free. Get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Right. Standing. Mraz, I ate like a pig this weekend.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Pig.
I had my buddies come over for Saturday football. Okay, we started off at the sports bar to pregame a little bit, and had a couple of beers there, and then we had sampler platter and some wings, some mutz sticks, and then there was a beef tips that we kind of all shared, steak tips. Then we came back to my place and broke out the beer, and had had some cocktails, had some beers. And then I ordered a great Italian place in our town, and I had it catered. We had shrimp fra diavolo, chicken franchise, and penne alla vodka.
Wow! Not even going pizzas. You went a fra diavolo.
Oh, yeah. This place is just amazing. So we got seafood, we got chicken, we got the penne. I mean, we ate like animals during those two games. And then the Giants game became a blowout, Giants-Eagles, so we just ended up, focusing on the food and the beer. And so we end up eating all of that. Okay, then I bought a pack of 24 of those large, fresh-baked grocery store chocolate chip cookies, the ones that are like really big. There were 4 of us. We ate 22 of the 24 cookies.
Good for you.
I mean, it was just an annihilation. Then yesterday I woke up and before Sunday morning football had leftover penne alla vodka for breakfast. Okay?
What's going on over there?
I learned it from watching you, Dad.
Then after Sunday morning football, had chicken franchise for lunch. I mean, it was just an annihilation, just a pure annihilation. I just, the entire weekend was football, Italian food, and beers, and chocolate chip cookies.
That's a man after my own heart. I love it. I love it. I will say the cameras caught me eating about 16 cupcakes Saturday during the game, so I had the desserts were working for me as well.
That was after the table flip, just to clarify.
I can't wait to dissect the table flip that's coming up later on to the show. It was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. Bogues, how'd you handle your football Saturday and Sunday?
Nowhere near the two of you. No tables were flipped. No obscene food was eaten. Saturday we had some indoor baseball practice during the middle of Chiefs Jaguars. So like other dads are watching their kids in the batting cage, and I was definitely sitting on the sideline with my phone out.
Yeah, you got to watch the game there.
Yeah, but Saturday night was kind of fun. It was just me and Jake for a little bit. So that until it was 21-0 Eagles, then the fun disappeared in a hurry. And then Jake fancies himself a Bills fan as well.
I saw that. I saw Jake with little Josh Allen jersey.
So he did not fare well yesterday afternoon either. So his top 2 teams took a thumping. But so it could have gone better, and it was not eased by any ridiculous caloric intake, unfortunately.
Yeah. The beer and the food makes it feel so much better. Well, Bogues has our headlines. What do we got?
The Super Bowl drought continues in Dallas, and Sean Payton remains unemployed. So, of course, Jerry Jones was asked if Mike McCarthy was in any danger after yesterday's 19-12 loss in San Francisco.
No, not at all.
But there is plenty to question McCarthy about after another divisional round loss.
I thought defensively, we did a really good job, for the most part. But, yeah, we'd like to have a couple more stops. Yes. Do we need more third down conversions on offense? Yes, we could have used that too.
Each team only scored 1 touchdown yesterday. Dak Prescott threw 2 more INTs, one of them in the red zone. His franchise...
Nearly a third.
Yeah, hasn't reached the NFC title game since 95. The Niners, meanwhile, going for the 3rd time in 4 years. It'll be in Philly on Sunday, 3 Eastern. The Bengals and Chiefs follow. Joe Burrow only sacked once yesterday in Buffalo, despite missing 3 O-linemen.
Really amazing all day. And then the most impressive was our 4-minute drive where we got 3 first downs running the football. And it's tough to run the football in those situations, and they were able to get the job done for us.
Guys, how did the Bills' defensive line get mauled by 3 Bengals backups?
It's unexplainable. I actually think that's the most unexplainable X's and O's matchup of all 4 games this weekend. They got no pressure. You can't tell me Von Miller was the only guy that could get after the quarterback in Buffalo.
And it wasn't like a draw where the Bengals offensive line, played the Bills defensive front to an even draw, and then the Bengals made some other plays. They killed them. Yeah. They absolutely killed them. The Bills got out-muscled on every play yesterday by 3 backups.
And that first drive the Bengals had, they were getting rid of the ball quick, almost like they wanted the offensive line to settle in. But that was not the case the rest of the game. Joe Burrow felt totally comfortable in that pocket. That Jackson Carman was mauling people at left tackle. That is as inexcusable a moment by a team's unit as there is the Bills pass rush yesterday.
And I know that we ranked Zach Taylor as the worst of the 8 coaches going into the weekend. But he called a hell of a game. I mean, he called a great offensive game yesterday.
He coached circles around McDermott yesterday. Absolutely.
Well, I think Anarumo controls the defense. So you got to give him the credit on the Bengals defense. But offensively, Zach Taylor's offense was great.
In the snow, up and down that offensive line. And then Zach Taylor, after the game, showing up to a local bar in Cincinnati and handed the bartender a game ball and having the crowd go nuts.
Yeah.
That's a thing, right?
Yeah, he did that last year, too.
They played defense as well yesterday. A 27-10 win in the snow in Buffalo. Burrow threw touchdowns to Jamar Chase and Hayden Hurst in the first 11 minutes to set the tone. It's reportedly a high ankle sprain for Patrick Mahomes, so now we do status checks for the next 6 days before the AFC title game. And on the coaching front, Giants OC Mike Kafka interviewed with the Texans and Colts yesterday. And speaking of Big Blue, No matter how ugly Saturday in Philly was, Brian Dable and Joe Shane are safe, which means Sean is safe until he makes his next questionable bet. But is Daniel Jones done as the Giants QB?
I've really enjoyed being here. I have nothing but love and respect for this organization. I'd love to be back, but we'll see, and there's a business side of it too.
Jones and Saquon Barkley are pending free agents. Barkley said yesterday.
Do we need the ping pong being played there as we're exiting?
Gotta get it.
We just got killed by the Eagles. Do we need one more ping pong match?
One more time before you leave.
And that was exit day yesterday?
That was yesterday, yeah.
Exit day, and you hear the ping pong going
I've
back
really
and forth.
enjoyed being here. I have nothing but love and respect for this organization. I'd love to be back, but.
Is that necessary?
I mean, don't you just clear out your locker, do the exit interview, and then get out of there? You hanging around to play ping pong? Like at the CYO?
Yeah, I find that more insulting than losing 38-7.
You're angry again. The Cowboy loss is gone.
Come on.
I'd suggest an emergency broadcast of one Giant step. I know that's not your thing.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. NBA.
It's not your thing.
NBA last
Being
night.
timely.
Yeah, you're in hibernation for the until the draft. I
Yeah,
think,
they
right?
just got to the Vikings win yesterday. They'll do Eagles next week. NBA last night, the Lakers rallied from 25 down at halftime in Portland to win 121-112. LeBron had 37 and 11 boards. The Nets topped the Warriors 120-116, and the Suns held off the Grizzlies 112-110. Their lead was 29 in the third quarter. Chris Paul had 22 points and 11 assists after missing 7 with a hip injury. And the Vancouver Canucks fired head coach Bruce Boudreau yesterday, replacing him with Rick Tocchet. The Canucks are bad. They're tanking, and Boudreau have been getting a lot of sympathy from fans and media. Now he is free. DA, back to you.
All right, thank you, Bogues. Rob in Topeka says, wow, DA, penne alla vodka. That's DA money right there. But did you have the new tangy barbecue Doritos? I have not. I know Bogues is a huge Doritos guy. Have you had tangy barbecue Doritos?
I don't even think I've seen them, let alone have them. Tangy barbecue?
I feel like Mraz would know of this.
I am unaware these even exist.
Wow,
I
look
have
at
not
this.
seen these.
They're in a gray bag. I've never seen these before.
I haven't seen them in my local shopper as well.
No, my Dorito innovation is there's a bag that you don't know what you're getting inside of it. There's like a mystery bag.
DA only just became aware of the 3D Doritos. so-
Right.
Not even up to that. I'm
What's
up
the
to Cool
blue
Ranch.
bag? Yeah.
What's this?
Nacho cheesier? Wait a second. When we come back here on the show, speaking of Giants Eagles, you guys got a live look into Blob's Bar on Saturday and the sadness that surrounded it. How devastated was the Bob's Bar show or the Bob's Bar crew? We'll talk about it next. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
And at this point, one of his friends runs over there, actually his sister's fiance, and pours a White Claw, an alcoholic seltzer, on it, as though that was going to help the burning sensation. Sugar water. Ah! My neck! My neck! Ah! Why did you put the garbage bag over you? Were you protecting that costume for future use?
DA, it is very rare that I spend a whole day where people complimenting how I look and the shape I look like I am in. And it felt really good to get those compliments throughout the day. So when it came time to finally have the costume potentially ruined, I really started to think I can't have this costume ruined because I don't know what the situation is I'm going to put this on again, but it's the one time in my life where everybody thought I looked really good. So I needed to protect and save that.
What other scenario could you possibly dress up as a revolutionary patriot for?
I know that sounds ridiculous, but I just think fashion is so crazy that you don't know when the time is going to be where maybe that is cool. Maybe it becomes cool in the next couple of years, and I'm ahead of the game, and I have one that I already know looks good on me.
You did look good in it.
I know I did. I mean, I think I missed the boat. I'd give up HD TV to go live in the 1780s now.
Really? You'd give up all of our modern conveniences, including all of your favorite sports teams and just sports in general. You'd have to root for, like,
fox hunting, and you'd go back to the 1780s just because you look good in the Paul Revere outfit?
Yes. Yes, I would. Yes, I absolutely would.
The cold water! My ear!
I need to know.
Burn my ear, you mother...
You burned my ear!
Did you actually feel the clam chowder, or you just yesed me to death?
I did. I picked up the pot, and I dipped my finger in it, my right index finger, into the pot, and I actually dipped it in and licked it, and it was room temperature at best, maybe a little warmer than room temperature at the top. I didn't get all the way to the bottom because it was 6 cans of clam chowder in large cans, so I couldn't put just a finger in. It would have had my whole hand going, my whole hand in the pot of chowder, so I never got to the bottom. And admittedly, when I picked up the pot, it was a very heavy pot worth of chowder, I did feel the bottom, and the bottom of the pot, like the metal, was much hotter than the top of the pot. So I do think the bottom of the pot was hotter, therefore the chowder at the bottom of the pot was hotter, and I think probably the top chowder was fine, but once I kept dumping it, and I was dumping it slow so that it just kept dripping all over you, once you got the hot bottom chowder, that's the one that scalded your ear.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Thank you. Can't wait to put on a pig nose soon and just keep this rally going.
Headley tweets, listening to it again, Mraz does a perfect Joe Pesci impersonation. It's piping!
I'm piping!
The water!
Cold water!
Oh, God, that's never going to get old. So we now have a new drop forever, a countdown. We should, on New Year's Eve, just play that countdown and then into Mraz yelping.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cold water!
Happy New Year! Cold water!
Cold water!
My ear!
I'm piping!
Are you saying that's piping or I'm piping?
No, that's piping, I think.
I'm piping!
That's piping.
I'm piping!
That's piping. Should honestly be a new DA Show t-shirt. That's piping.
I'm piping!
That's piping.
I'm piping!
I don't know why my voice became that. It's really embarrassing to listen back. I'm pathetic.
That's piping!
I'm piping!
It's almost like we didn't throw the dodgeballs either. Who cares about the dodgeballs?
Oh, I know. We have to talk about the dodgeballs.
Unbelievable. I did get hit in a bad area.
I know.
Ow!
Hurts again in the gun. 3 receivers to the near side. 1 to the far side. Ball at the 5-yard line. Goes into a long count. Hurts is back. He's going to go with the draw. He's going to run. He's going to score. Jalen Hurts.
He's healthy.
The dash up the middle, and he took it left.
Yeah, you could hear him yelling, hurry up, because the play clock was winding down.
I think we'll get into that, down the road. I think at this point this is still very fresh, this season, this loss, and, we'll take some time to regroup and think through that going forward.
It's DA on CBS Sports Radio.
Merrill Reese, Mike Quick on Eagles Radio in the demolition of the Giants on Saturday night. And that was Daniel Jones after the loss. Jones is now a free agent, and so the Giants have to decide what to do with him. Of course, they're going to try to re-sign him no matter what. I'm sure they'll do their best to re-sign him. We'll just see if he wants to take every last cent of what he might be able to get in the open market or stay with Brian Daboll, who certainly helped him get to that next level this season. But on Saturday, he was bad, but so was the Giants' offensive line. It was brutal. The Giants' defense was brutal. Everything was just brutal, and the Eagles made them look like punks. And I thought this would happen. For what it's worth, the Wizard has not had a good final 2 months of the football season, but the Wizard did go 3-0 in his Friday picks, and this was one of them. I just thought that the Giants were going to see that the Eagles were in a different weight class. I thought Giants fans kind of in general didn't want to hear it. It's a divisional game. You see him for the third time. Jalen Hurts is not 100%, but all season long before the Hurts injury, we all agreed that the Eagles were the best team in the NFC and maybe the best team in the NFL. That didn't change just because of the Jalen Hurts injury. And the Giants were a great story this season, but they're not in that weight class. And they showed it on Saturday night. So what a great performance by Philly. This was also a great performance. I did not know this, or I would have encouraged all of you guys to watch and be ready for it on Friday's show. But on Saturday night, Cap is just amazing. The Wizard of Watch DA set up or had Mraz go home with a camera to set up at Blob's Bar. Now, this was not at Bob's Bar. This was at Mraz's house. But his whole family came over to his house and his backyard, Blob's Bar, Blob's by the Bay, set up a camera. And I'm looking on Twitter as we get ready for kickoff of the Giants game. And I'm like, oh, my God, Cap has tweeted out a live video feed. And I'm thinking, this can't be real. We're going to see a live video feed of Blob's Bar as they curse and as they burp and as they watch this game? Come on. Sure enough, it was captivating, far more captivating than the game itself. Unfortunately, it got out of hand early, and there was an iconic moment during it where Mraz turns, you see the shot of the bar, and you're kind of watching the crowd from underneath where the TV is. So you're watching everybody kind of watch where you're looking from, and Mraz gets up behind the camera, behind the bar rather, and takes a folding table and flips it. And that was a dark moment there. Mraz, what point of the game was that when you finally flipped the table?
I think it was the Boston Scott touchdown. It might have been 21-0. The only reason I say this is because Boston Scott has owned the Giants, and I had been telling everybody this is not the day Boston Scott scores on him. And it was, I had getting all ticked off after the interception. I just couldn't take it anymore. That was the moment for me where it was everything that happens with the Giants and the Eagles is happening again, and I'm freaking tired of it. And boom, there went the table from Flip Cup. And,
it's not a normal where you walk over to a folding table and there's nothing really on the folding table, so you can just kind of flip it with your wrists. You went under and you really kind of did almost a swim move. Almost what Micah Parsons did yesterday with like the bull rush type of arm bar. You go under real low and really want to get some force up to flip it.
Yeah, I was really ticked off. I was trying not to yell, and there was a lot of heavy beers on there. We had tailgated all day long in my backyard with a DJ and everything. So that was a full-blown, full beers full of Flip Cup from right before kickoff. So I knew there was some weight behind it. And look, that was the only thing in sight. I wasn't going to tear down my pool.
Now, from what I gathered, you said that your parents were very upset that some people were mistakenly calling it Bob's Bar.
Yeah, my mother was not there, and I guess she caught the live stream, and she's like, people keep thinking this is our house. This is not Bob's Bar. Make sure you let them know this is not Bob's Bar. I was like, all right, Mom, calm down. That's not the point of this.
Why was Nancy upset that people were mistaking it?
I think that there's just a nostalgia to Bob's Bar that she doesn't want it being, for whatever reason, sullied, or if anybody were going to find this scene critical, she didn't want it being critical of the Bob's Bar reputation, although this is a branch off Bob's by the Bay, as you call it, Blob's by the Bay. I don't really know what goes through my mother's head. That's the only thing I could think of.
The only tough thing is that we didn't get at least one big play from the Giants. So that was what Cap was going for here. All of you guys going crazy, taking shots, spraying beers or something, or a crushing way to lose, and you guys are like crying on one another. But it was such a blowout. There was no real moments that were dramatic on camera.
Yeah, you couldn't really get anything. So the most dramatic stuff was me eating a cupcake down 35-7, and apparently this table flip after that moment. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And as I said, in the perfect world too, I have no idea who most of these people are at my house watching the game at my bar too.
So the game kicks off, and there's got to be 15 people in the camera shot, and you said there was many more off camera.
Yes. Yeah.
By the time we get to halftime, there are 2 people at the bar. Yeah. It is so sad. It is the saddest live stream ever.
It was me and Jerry talking about how the Jaguars came back last Saturday night.
The live stream had so much potential. And then by halftime, there's nobody in the backyard. It's crickets. All right, when we come back here on the show, Brock Purdy didn't look as dominant as he has. Did the Cowboys defense expose him for the 7th-round rookie that he is? Next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Before we let you go, our producer, Sean, who you met before, he once put a hex on Aaron Rodgers. He said Rodgers will never win another playoff game because Aaron Rodgers told him once upon a time, get away from me, buddy, because Mraz showed him a picture of himself.
Stop it.
Yes.
He told
me to get away from him. You're going to find out why right now.
Okay.
I'm a big Giant fan. The Packers beat the Giants in the playoffs a couple of years ago.
Right.
As part of losing a bet on the show, I had to go to Central Park in a Speedo covered in birdseed and have birds peck on.
Stopping me.
So a couple beers with Aaron Rodgers. I figure I'm going to show him the picture. He wanted no part of the picture. Was so annoyed that I showed him the picture. It said, get away from me, buddy. Now to pay off another bet.
Oh, my God. He was not nice to you.
He's not nice to you. So I had to find now another Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Right, that's me.
And hope this gets better.
Oh, wow, that is such a great. Is that you?
That's me
Well,
in a Speedo, birdseed,
that's
Central Park.
Yeah,
Terry. What do you think?
That's a great picture. That, really. And I love birds. I love birds. I used to race pigeons. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes.
I did not.
When you see Home Alone in Central Park, most of those birds were my birds. They're homing pigeons.
Right.
You race them and they come back home. Mine got lost and went to New York.
Well, none of them pecked on me, thankfully.
Yeah, no, none of them pecked on you. Well, I noticed you have no seed anywhere else but your shoulder. Maybe.
We'd have birds pecking down there, Terry.
So Aaron said, "Get away from me."
Get away
buddy.
from me,
Oh,
buddy.
that's
So
sad.
we just want to see if
I
another.
apologize for him.
Thank you. So you're not going to tell me to get away from me?
Absolutely not.
Thank you, Terry.
I'm honored that I'm next to you, bub.
Thank you, Terry.
Unbelievable.
Terry Bradshaw working on behalf of Ford and the Hall of Fan coming up this weekend. The Hall of Fans from Ford. This was such a pleasure.
Thanks,
you, Terry.
DA. Good to see you guys. Keep
too.
up the great work.
Thank you.
Aaron Rodgers ought to be ashamed of himself.
Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
CBS Sports Radio. Live from CBS Radio Studios in New York City, it's the DA Show with your host, Damon Amendolara, featuring producer Mraz and the musical sounds of the Zap Zap Orchestra. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's DA.
And happy Monday morning to you, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. In 20 minutes, we are stunned to a news. In 40 minutes, Stephon Diggs flipping out of the sideline of the Bills' loss yesterday. Lots to get to in these 2 hours coming up on the DA Show about the weekend that was in the NFL playoffs. We have our AFC, NFC championship game set. Early game is going to be the NFC game, as the Eagles will host the 49ers. Late game is going to be the Bengals at the Chiefs on Sunday. And speaking of that Niners-Cowboys game, the Niners defense was truly fantastic yesterday. The Niners defense was spectacular. Really limiting any big plays, making the Cowboys earn everything they get. They stiffened inside the red zone, only allowing the one touchdown. And down the stretch, when the Cowboys had a couple of drives that could have tied the game or got them back into the game, the Cowboys defense stiffened. Now, that being said, that second to last drive that the Cowboys had was a joke. I mean, the second to final drive, number one, Dak nearly throws the game-ending interception, throws it right into the breadbasket of the 49ers. On 2nd and 10, lucky was dropped. On 2nd and 10, his Michael Gallup wide open downfield just needs to lead him, and instead underthrows him, and it's incomplete pass. And then on 3rd down, when they don't convert on 3rd down, Mike McCarthy decides to punt it away, which nearly killed him, because Elijah Mitchell needs to stay in bounds. They nearly never got the football back. So he decides to punt, right? Maybe never getting the football back, but also lets the clock drain before getting the punt off, wasting valuable seconds that you might have on the back end if you call over your timeout to get a punt. It was just head-scratching and buffoonery on that second to last drive. Ultimately, they did get the ball back, but had to burn all of their timeouts because Elijah Mitchell did go out of bounds, which was just so silly. But ultimately, it didn't matter because the Cowboys could not go the length of the field with 40 seconds to play and no timeouts. So then the final play was just a disaster. I know there's not a lot to draw up when it's 5 seconds to play or whatever, and you've got to go 70 yards to score a touchdown. At the same time, the play is no offensive lineman and Ezekiel Elliott snapping the football. Why? What is that? And then he gets blown up and the play goes nowhere anyway. It was a yikes. Offensively for the Niners, nothing was spectacular. It was a workmanlike day. But the drive with the Kittle deflected or bobbled catch that ends with the McCaffrey touchdown is a very important drive in that game, and it is authored by Brock Purdy. And I thought in this game, as I mentioned earlier in the morning, this was not as easy as it has been for Brock Purdy in his previous games. Nothing worked easily. No big plays downfield. No Debo taken to the house. No 45-yarder by Brandon Ayuk. This was a tough game, tough play in, play out. Purdy doesn't throw a touchdown pass. gets sacked a pair of times, throws for only 214 yards. It really was work every play. But I also didn't see Purdy get rattled. I also didn't see that either, and that's a big part of being a rookie and getting your experience under your belt. Let's listen in to the game yesterday from Santa Clara and Levi Stadium.
Now they got Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence on the same side over McGlinchey. Going to roll Purdy the opposite way, going left. Purdy time, going to throw back right, and it is juggled, and George Kittle makes the catch to midfield.
Whoa!
What a catch by George Kittle. On the throwback there from Brock Purdy. Bobbled it a couple of times, but was able to reel it in.
Credit to the coaching staff and getting us right all week. You know, defense, offense, special teams, everyone just playing. You know, it takes everybody, not just one person or a couple guys. It literally takes everybody. So I'm just so proud of the team. And, you know, playoff football is not easy. So to go and to pull off a win like that against a great team like Dallas and now going to the NFC Championship, it means a lot to us. And for myself, yeah, when I take a step back, it's pretty cool.
So 49ers radio on the call, Brock Purdy after the win. Look at the longest plays that the Niners had. You had the big play to Kittle on the touchdown drive for 31 yards. Their next longest play was the Jawan Jennings catch for 21. Their longest run was Elijah Mitchell for 13. I think that was the play down the sideline that could have ended it. That was their longest run of the game. McCaffrey only had 35 yards rushing. His longest run was 8 yards. They had to work for everything. The Cowboys played well defensively. They played well. They were pretty buttoned up. They didn't get beat on big plays. And the Niners' offense has been tailored around creating the big plays, the big chunk plays. They just simply cannot break one yesterday. So on the one hand, I was watching going, see, this is where an elite quarterback can make something happen. A Burrow, a Mahomes, even what we've seen this year, Jalen Hurts. Create big plays, chunk plays, get downfield, just a couple of plays, a couple of shots, score a big touchdown, kind of loosen up the defense. Purdy couldn't do it yesterday, and the Niners couldn't do it. Now, to even be in the NFC Championship game with Brock Purdy is a huge win. I mean, when Garoppolo went down, I absolutely said there's no way they can go to a Super Bowl, and here they are 60 minutes away. And Shanahan deserves credit, and Lynch's roster deserves credit, and the defense is great, and it's a really well-built team. But I did wonder yesterday, okay, as the games get bigger, as the defenses get better, as the opponents get better, are we going to see Brock Purdy get exposed for what he is? And this is going to sound, anytime you use this word, it sounds like you're killing the guy. I'm not killing the guy. He's a 7th-round rookie. Forget Mr. Irrelevant. He's a rookie in the 7th round that never had any intent, I'm sure, to be starting the NFC Championship game. Not now, not this early in his career. So do you start getting exposed? And that Eagles defense, they got after Daniel Jones all night long, and if it happens to Purdy, it's going to be a long day for him on Sunday. I like that he never got rattled. I like that he never looked like a deer in headlights. I like that he doesn't look at all like a rookie, let alone a 7th-round rookie. What you felt, though, yesterday was that was a labor for 3 hours to move the football. And it's, it might come to that. That suddenly, that the Niners offense isn't just filled with a bunch of big plays that Brock Purdy makes it look easy. Like I said after last week's win, somebody tell Purdy it's not supposed to be this easy. But he learned it yesterday, that's for sure. Mraz, after you watch that Eagles defense swarm Daniel Jones on Saturday night, do you think the same thing happens to Purdy on Sunday?
Well, not the same exact thing because the Niners' offensive line and Trent Williams are going to hold up much better, but I think that you will see a lot of more similar things than that. I think that you saw Purdy last night, wasn't a deer in headlights, but still struggled. The difference now is this Eagles secondary is so much better than the Cowboys secondary, and I think there were a couple fluttering balls that Purdy threw last night that I think that the turnovers now will be there for Purdy, where I think he could turn into a bit of a pumpkin on Sunday.
Yeah, it was, I think, inside the 10-yard line, Diggs' dropped interception.
Yeah,
that's right in his hands.
And a couple of the throws he threw. I mean, obviously Kittle makes the amazing catch, and that was just a great scramble drill. But there were other throws that were just flat out incomplete throughout the night. That honestly, I think the Eagles would jump a route and make a better play on. But look, Purdy was unflappable. This is also on the road now too. This isn't home. This is going to go at Philly. I think the Eagle defense is going to have themselves a night. They got to be licking their chops right now.
Yeah, they can't be scared, that's for sure. They can't be scared getting a rookie 7th-rounder in there. And look, if this is where the magic carpet ride ends for Brock Purdy and the Niners, so be it. This has been a hell of a run even to get here with a 7th-round rookie. But, yeah, offensively yesterday was the first time since Purdy took over that it really was a struggle to move the football regularly. Enter reality tweets. DA, that was poetry yesterday. Now we can stop pretending Dak is anything other than just another guy. He's great at the podium, looks to be a great guy, but if he didn't get the cash or play for the Cowboys, would we know who he is? Dak would be a starting quarterback somewhere in the NFL, but yesterday was, again, a harsh dose of reality. That Dak is just not the elite type of QB that can string together a lot of great games in the playoffs. And, look, it's not just on Dak. The Niners defense did give up 19 points to a 7th-round rookie quarterback. It's not nothing. And, you're supposed to be able to run the football, and the Cowboys weren't really able to do that either yesterday. 22 carries for 76 yards. And CeeDee Lamb had himself a day, 10 catches, $117. But what we saw against the Buccaneers on Monday night, unfortunately for Dak, is the exception, not the rule. He looked great in that game. He was so efficient. He was so calm. Everything he did was with purpose. He just moved the football effortlessly that night. But that's what was so surprising, is that Dak doesn't usually look like that. You're going, wow, that's a huge, huge game for Dak, because we don't see that often enough. Down the stretch, the Cowboys played pretty garbage football. And they allowed lesser teams with lesser quarterbacks or lesser rosters to hang around or win. They nearly got beaten by the freaking Houston Texans. The Texans. They did get beat by Sam Howell and the Commanders. They got beat by the Jaguars. And granted, both the Jaguars and Cowboys ended up on the same weekend anyway, getting eliminated. But at that time, blowing that lead to the Jaguars, shouldn't happen. Dak played poorly down the stretch. And what we saw on Monday night was not what Dak looked like for the most of the season. Last night was what Dak looked like for most of the season. And, it's funny, I say this, and I do say it a bit with tongue-in-cheek, that the easiest thing in the world is rooting against the Cowboys, because they always do this. Now, it is really enjoyable. And don't get me wrong. As I've said before, the Cowboys are the perfect team, because they're always relevant enough to be in big games, but never good enough to win big games. So it's really fun. For all of us who got just overwhelmed by the Cowboys bandwagon of the 90s. When I'm in high school, the Cowboys win 3 Super Bowls. Well, think about that bandwagon generation. And Mraz talks about it the same way. I mean, anywhere you grew up in America, if you grew up in the 70s, people were Cowboys fans. In the 90s, people were Cowboys fans. And so it was it's all bandwagon stuff. And so watching for 30 years, all the bandwagoners act like the Cowboys are something, knowing at the end of the season they're definitely going to lose, because that's what always happens. It's really very, very fun. I have to say, yesterday the Cowboys losing was one of the most enjoyable parts of the NFL playoffs.
The Cowboys also have this ability where you may not even be rooting against them, but since it just happens on its own, it becomes just this euphoric, awesome experience, right? As the whole thing, you're not sitting there actively rooting, but it just happens, and it's so perfect. And the last play, even though it really didn't matter that much, is just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, when they look like buffoons, it's even better. And most of this is Jerry Jones created. I mean, yeah, some of it is their fans are obnoxious, but I mean, I talk about this often. I don't even take Cowboys fans seriously. Like when I say something that's critical of the Cowboys and Cowboys fans come out of the woodwork, it's almost like, oh, okay, you're angry now, but I know I'm going to be right in 3 months. We got 30 years of evidence here. And when Cowboys fans get all fired up about this, that, or the other thing, you're like, what are you trying to psych yourself into? For 30 years, they're basically the Bills. They're the Lions and the Browns. This season always ends poorly. We know this. And so yesterday, it's kind of like comforting and predictable that that's always how the season ends. But for the Cowboys, this always starts with Jerry, is that Jerry is so addicted to attention that he thinks that it equates to winning. He thinks that it matters that you matter. In the meantime, it doesn't. But again, the Jaguars got just as far as you did this year. And they don't have an owner that's courting the media doing press conferences every week. I mean, the Chiefs are going to go to 5 consecutive AFC championship games. Host 5 of them. Do you ever see a Clark Hunt interview? I mean, ever. Do you ever hear Clark Hunt speak? No. Owners don't need to whip the fans into a frenzy. They don't need to do media avail. And Jerry's at the point in time where we kind of just accept it because he's done it for 35, 40 years. But it's embarrassing. It's an old man who doesn't know football running a franchise as though he picks the players, he signs the free agents, and he designs the offense and the defense. And it's sad. It's sad, but it's kind of a grim reality that it's just, this is who the Cowboys are. It's like a dysfunctional mom and pop shop that you just know never turns a profit. Now, literally, they always turn a profit. They're incredibly profitable. But is that the goal of the Cowboys, to be profitable? To be the most valuable organization? Or is it to win Super Bowls like they used to do? Or at least get there, or at least get to an NFC championship game? I mean, you want a harsh dose of reality. Niners fans, wave this flag at every Cowboys fan at your school, at your place of work, in your family or whatever. The last Cowboys NFC championship game was 1995, so January 96. But the 1995 season, since the Cowboys' last NFC championship game, the Niners have been to 7 of them. So from 1996 to present, NFC championship game appearances, Niners 7, Cowboys 0. Super Bowl appearances, Niners 2, Cowboys 0. Just in that span. And Jerry doesn't want a GM, and Jerry wants to have his hand in all of the pots, and Jerry wants to talk Super Bowl before October is over. And this is what you get. A team that is popular, a team that is profitable, but a team that is never really a great football team. I mean, look at the Final 4 teams this weekend. All of them are better than the Cowboys. So at very best, the Cowboys this year were the 5th best team in the NFL, and that's at best. And that's like the best Cowboys team we've seen in years. And are they better than the Bills? Maybe. But I mean, that's kind of who they are. Relevant enough, but never great. Always relevant, never great. And it happened again this year. And it's just a sad, grim reality for Cowboys fans. This ain't going to change. This is who they are. Dak, at this point in his career, going to be 30 next year. You think Dak gets much better than this? Yesterday was kind of a Dak game. Can it only be Micah Parsons? Or you have to have somebody else that makes game-changing plays? Is Mike McCarthy great enough? I mean, he's clearly good enough to get you to the playoffs. Yesterday, Shanahan definitely won the X's and O's. It's not going to change, which just makes Cowboys flameouts so delightful. Hit me up on Twitter, DA on CBS. When we come back, we are stunned to a news. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
batter it and fry it instead. No, grilled chicken with 1 slice of Munster. Maybe 2 slices. No, just 1 slice of Munster. A dollop of chipotle sauce on the Pepperidge Farm sandwich. It's thin, it's delicate, it's easy. It goes down so smoothly. It's time for exercise. I'm emphasizing the size because I need to lose some size. 43 minutes, high intensity, elliptical, high intensity. I am dripping like sweat. I can feel it coming from my nether regions, dripping on the floor. God, that was amazing. I can't catch my breath. Give me a second. 5 minutes.
This is better than Kinky Boots.
Excellent. 5 minutes in the sauna stretching. It's really just my bathroom, but since I'm standing in here, it's heating up from the radiation from my body. I wish I could have done 10 minutes, but the guy next to me, that's my kid, but whatever. He started to smell me. The stall started to say, "Get out! Is there a guy in there?" Oh, I'm gagging. Did you just crap yourself? I'm not done yet working out. He's bicep curls. 65 pounds, 75 pounds, 90 pounds. What? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. It's only like 15. I'm going to do 60 reps, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 10. All right, I'm done. Tricep presses. Same weights. That's 15 pounds. Same resistance. 1, 2. No, 3 is good. I'm good. I feel so good. It's 2 o'clock now. I'm going to dip in for my second lunch.
It's only 2?
Because remember, I had that chicken early. Really, it was breakfast, but I'm calling it lunch. More sandwich, then roasted chicken, another slice of Munster. I'm going to go 2 this time. I don't care. I worked hard on those bicep curls. And a slice or 2 of Black Forest ham. Now I'm making somewhat of an Italian, but it's not really Italian because there's not really any sauce or... No, I'm going to do Italian. I want the sauce. Yeah, give me all the stuffings. I want it all. Oh, I'm cheating. I'm cheating. I know I'm going to write down that I didn't, but I'm cheating. It's dinner time now. Oh, Danielle, my wife, is so amazing. She's so beautiful. She stomachs me at 272 pounds with my stomach.
0.2.
No, it's now 0.6. She makes garlic chicken. It's the 3rd time today I've had chicken. So some string beans. Now make that collard greens. I want to channel the blackness inside of me. I got to put some carrots on top of that. God, I must admit, she threw some Costco shredded potatoes on top of that. It's a baked potato. No, it's shredded. No, it's a baked potato. No, it's not. It's a regular potato. God, this is not bad. Danielle, for the first time, she lifted a finger to cook all of this in a week for me. God, I love you so much. Let's have another baby. Let's you got to be on top, though, because I'm 272.
Oh, whoa!
You're not discouraging me about the potatoes. It's 7:30 p.m. 2 pawfuls of Target peanut butter Monster. That's it. Just a scoop. It's bedtime. I'm exhausted. God, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from writing all of this. I'm exhausted from the effort that it took. 10 p.m. I'm out. See you tomorrow.
Oh my God! We just had one of the moments of the year. Lock it in. That's the top 312 DA of Christmas already. We're 12 months in front of it. Tiki, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Oh, I couldn't help it, man.
I think the bid's dead.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
There's a 98.6% chance the DA is late to break here, and we have to squeeze in both the epic fail and advanced analytics on this final break.
It's more like 100%.
DA on CBS Sports Radio.
Great line by Pete there. More like 100%. Welcome back. DA with you here on CBS Sports Radio. You can always watch us at watchda.com. That's mobile friendly, or on YouTube or on Twitch. And by doing so, you can chat alongside the other D-aliens. On Twitch, you also could have watched the Bob's Bar live stream. Actually, it was Blob's Bar. It was at Mraz's house, but there was a watch party for the Giants and Eagles on Saturday. Cap sent him home with a camera. He set it up, and we were able to watch live the scene at Blob's Bar during the game. Dixieland Dan tweets, that bar show was great. Food spread incredible. All the folks hanging out. I believe the Bayou Bear was on the Twitch chat talking with us. It was awesome. After listening to what Mraz was screaming, though, I think Allen and Legal is on hold. Needs to be a regular thing. So tell us, Mraz, about convincing everybody it was okay to watch them in real time, because I was a little worried that there was going to be some F-bombs or some conversation topics that might be a little off color for a drunken football fest.
Yeah, I mean, and that was definitely a worry. So I told Cap, and he's like, look, you could curse. It's Twitch. I said, okay, I mean, fine. So I turned to, at least people I knew would be watching the game originally in my basement, and they were kind of like, oh, let us think about it or whatever. And then I think everybody got a few drinks in them at the tailgate, and then I reapproached everybody and was like, yeah, all right, yeah, we could curse. I'm like, yeah, but, just try to be careful, but, like, be you. This is what they want. And then I polled the audience again around a half an hour before kickoff, and they said, let it go live. We don't need to just record. So I again warned Cap. I said there might be, some F-bombs and stuff like that. He said this is totally fine. So I propped it up on the bar, and I said, well, Cap, this is it. Have at it. I hope you enjoy the shot. And that was that.
It was like a multicast. It was like the Manning cast. I got to watch the Giants and Eagles game, and then I also got to watch you guys in real time. It was quite enjoyable.
And that part was very confusing to many in the house. There was a lot of people wondering, wait, so people while the game are on want to watch you watch the game? It was a lot. I will tell you, a lot of confusion that transpired throughout the crowd.
But interestingly, perhaps the most interesting thing about all of this is that Bayou Bear did not want to be on camera. He was worried about being on camera. This is a guy that proudly smashed 36 White Claws during one of the Bob's Bar shows 2 years ago, and sat at the Bob's Bar 2 years ago shirtless with his belly out, but in front of total strangers.
He was unbelievable. So I guess he started the live stream, and then he got really hungry. And I think, I mentioned his boss had texted him saying, oh, I'm watching this. This is pretty cool. I guess he follows the show. And it gave him – he said, I'm not comfortable eating in front of this many people. All these DA show fans judging me as I eat. I said, this is the weirdest take you've ever had. It's not as if somebody's looking at you like you're 90 pounds going, can you believe he eats like that? I mean, you kind of portray somebody that eats a lot. So what?
Yeah, that's kind of his brand. The Bayou Bear is this big, hulking guy that crushes White Claws and eats everything in sight.
I guess that's it. I guess it's the idea of, like, he knows he's large. He knows people think he eats, but he doesn't want to be a zoo exhibit at the same time. So he went off camera.
Well, when he did the White Claw thing, he wasn't on camera for that.
Well, he was sitting at the bar, and we did, I think, during commercial breaks or something, like he chatted with the camera or something.
Right. But I don't think he's been on camera for a lot of this eating.
Did he not have a job or a boss for that show?
Maybe. Or you're trying to leave a job.
Well, Mraz doesn't know where he works.
I don't. It's one of those things like he's told me, and I know. I think it's a shipping company. There's some kind of importing, exporting.
Okay, so he's an importer-exporter.
He's something like that because he was a merchant. It was something with that.
He's a merchant?
Well, he went to the Merchant Academy.
And he went to the Merchant Marine Academy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not that. That's not what that merchant means.
And then he ended up in the Bayou getting a job doing some kind of exporting out of that same, the same boating place where where Mark Wahlberg did the movie with his dad.
So he's Art Vandelay, basically.
Yeah, and now he's up in New York doing more of that.
He's a merchant.
I know he can rent shipping containers.
The old merchant of Venice, the Bayou Bear.
Selling watches out of a top coat doesn't make him a merchant.
Anybody, Rolex.
Well, the Giants fans didn't have it good this weekend, but which fan base do you think is the saddest today? Who had the most sad weekend? You have, the Giants fans against the Eagles who always rip their hearts out, getting stomped on by the Eagles again. You had the Jaguars losing to the Chiefs. You had the Cowboys last night once again falling short of an NFC Championship game, losing to the hated Niners. And then you had the Bills getting rolled up on by the Bengals. Which fan base is the most sad today?
It's got to be the Bills, right? It has to be the Bills because at least they were home yesterday. Dallas was on the road. The snow. It felt like this was the year. Everybody picking them preseason. It's got to be the Bills. They don't even make an AFC title game again.
Bogues?
It's got to be them. It has to be. I mean, maybe Dallas gets some points here for the long, long drought and another missed opportunity, but I mean, the Bills had the biggest letdown of the weekend, no doubt. So their fans, therefore, should be the saddest of the bunch.
Pete?
I would say the Bills, but also I would include the Jaguars as well because I felt when Mahomes got hurt, that game could have been had for Jacksonville. I would have been very upset if I was a Jaguars fan, too.
It's a very good point. I actually mentioned this yesterday on Sunday Morning Football. Mahomes went down. The ensuing 5 drives that the Jaguars had went punt, field goal, punt, 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 I think. It was out of 5 drives, they had 1 scoring drive. It was a moment where the game could have flipped. It could have broken open for the Jaguars. They couldn't take advantage of it. They couldn't seize the game and the lead. And so definitely a missed opportunity. But I will vote for the Bills as well, simply because we're now officially in 90s Bills territory, where every year they go into the season as a favorite, and every year they end with a whimper. And I know last year was more devastating because you feel like if you win a coin toss in overtime or you just kick the ball out of bounds at the end of regulation, 16 seconds, that's how close you were to hosting an AFC championship game. So last year is more crushing. But this year, you look like the best team in football early. You did beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead. AFC championship game would have been at a neutral site, which would have been advantage Buffalo based on their big play capabilities. You would get a less than 100% Patrick Mahomes in the AFC title game, presumably. This was a moment, and you didn't even compete. That yesterday was all Bengals. If you're a Bills fan, you wake up today and you're crushed because if you remember the 90s, this is how it always felt.
I think this year is more devastating than last year for the Bills, even with the 13 seconds, because the game's at home, and you know that this year had even more expectations than last year. Like, you came off last year knowing, all right, we survived that, or that hit hard, but this is the year we're going to put our foot forward.
And that could make us better last year.
Right, and it didn't, and then you end up, and I know we're going to get to it, it kind of feels like you're unraveling it a bit. Diggs is yelling. There's more questions about McDermott than ever. And it feels like you're almost further away than ever as a result when we can't beat Mahomes or Burrow. I actually think last year was a moment. This year, the devastation of getting blown out like that, I think is worse.
Yeah, because this year you weren't even in the game. And, I mean, maybe the Chiefs look vulnerable with a banged-up Mahomes coming up here. But if the Bills are that much worse than the Bengals, then they're that much worse than the Chiefs as well at this point in time. Earlier in the season, they were better than the Chiefs, but after yesterday, you can't feel like the Bills are a better team than the Chiefs, which means they're at best the 3rd team of their own conference.
Devastating. And it does feel like now there's a distinct difference between Burrow and Allen, too.
Yes. There's a distinct difference between Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. There is a dividing line there, and Allen is asked to do a lot, but those other 2 guys look completely in control in those big moments. They do not look like anything is too big for them, and Allen does not. And everybody loves Josh Allen for obvious reasons. The guy, it seems to just be a regular guy. He totally embraces the community. He's thrilling to watch. He has this huge arm, He's a guy that physically does things that we've never been able to see anybody else do. But, yesterday you got to be better. Last year you were really good. Last year in the divisional round, excellent. But this year that was a regression. That was not a great Josh Allen day. That was a bad Josh Allen day. And Burrow and Mahomes definitely feel like a cut above. All right, hanging out with our headlines today is Mr. A.B. Andrew Bogish.
And DA, let's stay right with this game. It could not have looked better, a winter wonderland in Buffalo yesterday, but the Bengals were better in the snow. Joe Burrow with 2 quick TD throws to start Cincy towards a 27-10 win and a spot in the AFC title game.
Snow doesn't affect the ball too much. It gets a little wet every now and then, but it's not like rain or wind or anything like that. So we're confident in just about any weather.
The weather and the Bengal D not kind to Josh Allen. Only 1 rushing touchdown, 1 late pick. So instead of a game in Atlanta, we get a rematch at Arrowhead. Chiefs-Bengals is the first repeat AFC title game since the Patriots and Ravens in 2011 and 12, and it should feature Patrick Mahomes, even after an MRI yesterday reportedly confirmed a high ankle sprain. The Niners, meanwhile, will see the Eagles in the NFC finale, their 3rd in 4 seasons after surviving the Cowboys 19-12. This was a 9-9 game entering the 4th quarter.
Purdy out of the shotgun. Kittle and Juszczyk right. Ayuk the other side. Handoff McCaffrey. Touchdown! San Francisco!
Greg Papa on Niners radio. Brett Maher and Robbie Gould matched field goals after that. Then San Francisco and Dallas both bungled final possessions, but that left the Niners with the 7-point win. Kyle Shanahan's team has reeled off 12 in a row.
The defense getting those turnovers, the offense being able to make some third downs. I don't think in the first half we had 1 first down running the ball. I think they were all throwing the ball, and I think that changed big in the second half. So we still got it going a little bit, warmed down a little bit, and winning the turnover battles everything after that.
Dak Prescott 2 more picks for the Cowboys, while Brock Purdy remains unbeaten under center for the Niners. San Francisco D coordinator DeMeco Ryans apparently canceled head coaching chats with the Cardinals and Colts to focus on this game, and that seemed to pay off. The Denver Nuggets had won 9 in a row overall, 16 straight at home, but Nikola Jokic was out last night with a tight hamstring, so they fell to the Thunder 101-99. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hit the winner with 9 seconds left. The Lakers were 121-112 winners in Portland after trailing by 25 at halftime. The Nets were down 13 mid-4th quarter, but beat the Warriors in San Francisco 120-116, and the Raptors snapped their 3-game skid 125-116 over the Knicks. Ben Shelton and Tommy Paul reached the Australian Open quarterfinal today, joining Sebastian Korda, which gives the U.S. 3 men in the Final 8 for the first time since 2000. Back then, it was Sampras, Agassi, and Chris Woodruff.
Wow.
Novak Djokovic also won down under today. The Vancouver Canucks fired head coach Bruce Boudreau yesterday. As for the games, the Kings snapped the 4-game skid with a 2-1 win in Chicago, and the Bruins a 4-0 home win over the Sharks. Boston has won their last 11 meetings. And now, we start.
Woo!
It doesn't take much to surprise this bouncing baby boy.
This is honestly the most stunned I have ever been on the show to a news.
The DA show is stunned to a news.
So I don't know how actually stunning this one is, but I just wanted to say the names in this story on the radio. The owner of a West Virginia restaurant is one happy restaurateur today because a very important piece of his restaurant is back home, safe and sound. Now, there was a fire recently at the Dairy Winkle.
Oh, yeah.
And while it was locked up awaiting repairs, someone broke in and stole the Wiener Man, a statue depicting a hot dog with a face licking his or her lips while shooting ketchup on its head and then holding a mustard bottle in its other hot dog hand. Local deputies got a tip about the stolen statue's location, recovered it, no issues. It's in perfect condition. There is, however, no info on a suspect, and those local deputies are asking for more help. So if you know who took the dairy or took the Wiener Man from the Dairy Winkle, please let your local cops know.
And it was a big wiener.
It's a huge wiener. It's like a life-size human wiener.
No, it's not a human wiener. It's a, It's a life-size hot dog.
Sorry. The wiener is human-sized. And it's a great statue. This wiener has 2 arms and 2 legs. His legs have, I think he's wearing sneakers or hiking boots. And he's holding a bottle of mustard, but he's pouring the ketchup on his head like he's ready to be eaten, which is a little dark. But at the same time, you got to appreciate him, sacrificing himself.
Sacrificing.
And it was a big wiener.
Number 2, how do you steal Wiener Man? I mean, now there was a fire, and so somebody broke into the restaurant after the fire. So I guess maybe, locks were burned. You could go in through the wall or something like that.
The wall.
You get
So now
there's
the
like
Kool-Aid Man's involved.
a burning.
Oh, yeah, I'm here to steal a wiener.
Well, I mean, if the fire rips through and one of the walls gets burned, I mean, you pick your way through the rubble, you get to the Wiener Man. Then how do you lift a giant wiener statue? How do you get the Wiener Man into your car?
One giant step for man, 2 giant steps for wiener kind. This has to be a 2-man job, right?
It has to be.
And you got to have a flatbed or a lot of rope. And I'd probably the flatbed, because I don't think you could tie this thing to the top of a car and drive down the road and nobody notice, hey, is that a big wiener tied to the top of your car? It's got to be somewhat hidden, right?
A human-y wiener.
Yeah.
Well, and also, all right, so they get a tip. So whoever steals Wiener Man has it at in their sports den or in their garage or something. Yeah. And somebody tips off the police like, oh, yeah, I know where Wiener Man is. I mean, so you got to keep
the reward for Wiener Man?
You got to keep that close to the vest. I can't believe that somebody tipped off. I mean, you can't trust you're being a blabbermouth. You can't trust the people that know that you got Wiener Man.
Let's be frank about this. With Wiener Man, if you have Wiener Man, the point of it is he's now like an Instagram thing, right? You want to come over, you want to dress him up in different outfits, you want people to come over and take pictures of Wiener Man. The problem is, how could you post anything on social media with Wiener Man? So it really is too enticing an item to have, because you're inevitably going to get stolen. I bet you that's what happened. A friend came over and said, I need to have a picture of Wiener Man.
Wiener.
What do they call him? The Daily Wrinkle? What's it?
The Dairy Winkle.
Oh, the Dairy Winkle.
Wiener.
And that person probably was offended they couldn't take a picture, so they reported it to police.
The Daily Wrinkle, which is like a newspaper in Superman. The Daily Wrinkle. No, the Dairy Winkle.
Dairy? I don't know.
I wish that I could go to the Dairy Winkle in Campbell's Creek, West Virginia. I looked up their menu. It looks delicious. What a cool name, the Dairy Winkle. Here's the milkshake flavors, okay, Mraz? Let me know what the number 1 draft pick is of the Dairy Winkle's milkshake stand.
Here's the dairy, okay.
Banana.
Okay.
Banana pudding.
Ooh.
Birthday cake.
Ooh.
Blueberry.
Ooh.
Butterfinger.
Ooh.
Butterscotch.
Oh.
Caramel.
Oh.
Dreamsicle. Hot fudge. Oreo. Peanut butter. Pineapple, raspberry, red velvet. Who's the number 1 pick at the Dairy Winkle milkshake stand?
D.A., I think at the Dairy Winkle Wrinkle Gun, it's got to be red velvet.
Really?
Wow. We've done the Oreo. I did the Oreo. We've done the banana. We've done Butterfinger before. Red velvet drops out of the sky and into your milkshake mouth? That brings all the boys to the yard. Red velvet's delicious.
Okay. Wow. I mean, they got a few milkshakes here. I never remember seeing a blueberry milkshake. I don't remember seeing a red velvet milkshake.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
I was going to say banana pudding was going to lead the way. That might be your B team there, because you have banana, but now I'm going to do banana pudding in a shake, and I want to see how that tastes different. But you're right, a blueberry. The problem is you never know. Blueberry could be a little too rich. I think a red velvet's probably excellent.
I was surprised you did not vote birthday cake as your number 1 pick.
Yeah, and look, maybe it's just because I've had too much of that, funfetti type of stuff lately, but I generally lean something chocolatier, and red velvet is a form of chocolate in that case. Sometimes the birthday cake stuff, as delicious as it can be a little overwhelming at times.
For the record, if you were wondering, at the Dairy Winkle, those Sundays are half price on Monday. Mondays are half price Sunday fun day.
They know how to keep people fat at the Daily Winkle. Monday is always a day you want to lay low, try to recoup. You've had a big weekend, but there you are, half price Sundays back in the ice cream groove.
When we come back on the show, the Bills melted down yesterday, and so did Stephon Diggs on the sideline. What about that image? DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
If you leave the Cheesecake Factory and you somehow are not full enough that you can have intercourse in a tinted window SUV in the parking lot, to me, you have disgraced everything the Cheesecake Factory has built. You have not done Cheesecake Factory justice. You've not done Cheesecake. The last thing you should want to do is have anything to do with sex leaving Cheesecake Factory.
Interesting take. So you eat enough to basically explode every time you leave Cheesecake
Danielle
Factory.
knows it's like moving out of the lane for Shaq coming to dunk it. You just clear the path. You let me be in and out of that bathroom watching some Law and Order reruns when we get home after a Cheesecake Factory hit. There will be no intercourse whatsoever. I can tell you Taylor was not conceived after a Cheesecake Factory meal. I can't move. It's sweatpants on, and it's whatever happens, happens.
He's proud of this.
So
He's
you
saying
basically
this with glee.
You eat the 7th chapter of the menu.
Yes, and I still have some to leave over for lunch the next day. You have that jambalaya, you go nuts. There's no way you should ever. Nobody's ever walked out of Cheesecake Factory if you've done Cheesecake Factory right yet. You know what I could go for, honey, right now? Why don't we have some fun? No. Matter of fact, if you're on a date night, you play mini golf first, and then you go to Cheesecake Factory. You can't walk 9 holes.
I've had in a long time.
Here's the thing. When you say do it right, that's not everybody's version of doing it right. Eating so much that they can't walk and they have to run to the bathroom the entire night.
But then go to Arby's if you're not going to do
What, that's your fine dining alternative?
But why are you going to Cheesecake Factory then? The name is in the factory. It's a Cheesecake Factory, which means you are parlaying your home meal to make sure, like the people that don't get dessert at Cheesecake Factory, punch yourself in the face like it's Fight Club. Because why did you bother going? You are building up, and then the moment you read those apps, there's 44 of them. You got to get one.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Not everybody eats to explosion and exhaustion like you.
Right, to diabetic shock. That's not a goal most people have.
Most people don't think you take advantage of the meal by eating until you're so sick you need to run to the bathroom.
Put some whipped cream on my head and run around like a dum-dum.
Damon, I agree with you on the surface. I'm talking about this specific place. The whole buildup, it's like going to a concert and leaving before Springsteen takes the stage.
It's not.
Like cheesecake is sitting there waiting for you.
Okay, but again, the cheesecake doesn't mean that puts you into shock.
What do you think? You're having a spring mix the whole time until you get to the cheesecake? No.
Yeah, you know what
You're going
most
to get
people
those
do?
chicken littles with the corn succotash.
They don't have the whole loaf of the pumpernickel bread or the buffalo blast because they're going to have the 1,000-calorie cheesecake slice at the end.
Ravenous. I'm telling you,
Again,
Baker Mayfield's a disgrace.
This is not how everybody eats out.
Clearly, it's not how Baker Mayfield does it.
They don't walk into a place and say, "Oh my God, I haven't eaten anything all day. I want to eat everything on this menu, and I will eat until I vomit." That's not how most people, you look at it like it's a pig trough. Like, I am going to eat
It is with waitresses and waiters in white, nice shirts.
All right, so that gives us a little perspective. You look at going out to eat like a pig trough.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Cheesecake Factory, but it's a fancier trough. The bad
it's made of stainless steel, not wood.
They're cooking in front. You can't. Point is this. You do not walk out of Cheesecake Factory if they're inhaling when you inhaled and go, all right, let's roll up the windows and let's drive behind back. No way. No way. You didn't do it right then.
So just
go to a Fridays and do that in the parking lot.
1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Where is he going? Oh, no. It's DA on CBS Sports Radio.
That actually is the soundtrack of Bills fans watching yesterday's game unfold. Happy Monday, everybody. DA with you here on CBS Sports Radio. You can always tell your smart speaker to play CBS Sports Radio. Have us on around the house or the office as you get ready for work every single day. Stephon Diggs throwing his hands out to the side, imploring Josh Allen on the sideline, I don't know, to throw him the football more. He was open, didn't see him, whatever it was. We don't know because Stephon Diggs was not available to discuss it. Apparently last night he tried to get out of town as quickly as humanly possible. Stephon Diggs was first to the locker room, gathered his stuff, and left before anybody else got there, apparently, and had to be dragged back by a teammate. Remember that Stephon Diggs has another moment like this in the playoffs. The only win of Kirk Cousins' playoff career happened when the Vikings went to New Orleans and defeated the Saints. In that game, the Vikings were leading, and Stephon Diggs comes over to the sideline and throws his helmet down, upset that he's not getting the football more, or the bracket coverage that he's getting is frustrating. Whatever the case was, you are leading in a playoff game and chucking your helmet on the ground in frustration. You're winning a playoff game. And now in this case, you were definitively losing the playoff game, but you're kind of showing up your quarterback in a real tough moment. Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen seem to be really tight. So I don't know if yesterday was a fraying of that relationship. I think it's a bad look by Stephon Diggs. I mean, man, is that the moment you want to be gesticulating on the sidelines of how frustrated you are with the offense or with your quarterback? Like, that's a moment where you guys have to work together, not apart. It's an offense that's been dreadful all day long. That's Stephon Diggs. That's a bad look. You're supposed to be this brotherhood, this togetherness, that the Bills, nobody's closer than the Bills, that Damar Hamlin, is just indicative of how tight that Bills team is. And then suddenly you're losing in a playoff game and you're showing up your quarterback on the sideline. I mean, that's the Bills' togetherness. And I thought that was a terrible look for Stephon Diggs. Really, truly terrible. And it does make you wonder if Diggs is a great teammate when the going's good, and then when the going's bad and he's not getting his or whatever, that he suddenly becomes a terrible one. I just think that yesterday is more about a cold, harsh reality for the Bills, that they weren't as close to winning a Super Bowl as they thought they were all season. And maybe there is an emotional exhaustion from this season because they went through so much. I mean, there was the blizzard that postponed their game or moved their game from Buffalo to Detroit. They had to stay in Detroit for the full Thanksgiving week, play 2 games there. There was the near injury to the throwing elbow of Josh Allen that we thought might sidetrack the whole thing. Then you had another blizzard. You had the collapse against the Vikings. You had people dying in the blizzard in Buffalo. Then Damar Hamlin. I mean, it might have just been too much, overwhelming. And maybe yesterday was just exhaustion. But the Bills have to have a real come-to-Jesus moment here where 2 years ago they were in the AFC Championship game. Knock on the door. Okay, we're here. We're going to take the next step and burst through this at some point. Then last year, you lose the divisional round with 13 seconds to go. It's a back-and-forth game, and you can rationalize yourself with, hey, if we would have gotten the football in overtime, or if we would have squib kicked it, we would have won that game. Okay. This year, you get back to the divisional round, but you get worked at home. That's very clear who was the better team yesterday. So that's got to be are we getting better or are we getting worse? And it can't come down to just the injury to Von Miller. That can't be the difference between playing a close divisional game and getting blown out in a divisional game, or getting to a Super Bowl and not getting to an AFC Championship game. So they've got to work on where they can get better all across the board. When we return, more on the weekend that was the playoffs, including the Bengals being overlooked again.
You're in a 5-minute break.
is the secret guest.
This is John Sterling with Marat's Fat Journal, a Vegas bachelor party running log. The only running that will be done. Wednesday night, 2 Amstel Lights before my flight and a slice of very below average dollar pizza at JFK. Land at Vegas time, 11:30 p.m. Throw down 2 tall boy Modelo's, and at 3 a.m. a grilled chicken sandwich with fries from Johnny Rockets. Looked down at my phone and realized the DA show for Thursday is already starting, so I should go to bed. Thursday, breakfast, 1 blueberry donut at Dunkin' Donuts. Lunch, chicken nachos at Yard House. Dinner, basic burger and fries at Circa. St. Patty's drink count, 1 yardstick Kona, Big Wave, 4 Corona Premieres with green dye, 6 Bud Light aluminum bottles, 6 Jameson shots at the 9 Fine Irishman party, 3 Captain and Gingers on Fremont Street. I walked virtually the entire strip, plus Fremont Street. This was an active day exercise for me. P.S. I forgot after Yard House I scooped up a Ghirardelli hot fudge sundae when the Jack Rabbits screwed me on an early big bet. Friday, ate breakfast by myself at Hash A Go-Go. Chocolate chip pancakes, 3 turkey sausage links, and egg whites to stay healthy. Lunch, none, thankfully. Had a bucket of Corona Premieres at the Flamingo pool party, danced with 5 women that looked like they could all have played offensive line in college football. I guess that was my experience for the day. Dinner, Brazilian Steakhouse group dinner. Amounts get hairy, but I roughly consumed filet mignon, skirt steak, top sirloin steak, lamb, garlic pork chop, chicken thighs, bacon-wrapped chicken, various Italian meats, rice, beans, salad from a salad bar to stay healthy, mashed potatoes, fried banana, a piece of cheesecake, 5 more Captains and Gingers to end the night. Saturday. Breakfast, apple fritter. Lunch, Korean beef, Bavarian pretzel, wings split at the table, watching Kansas not cover the spread. Malibu and Diet Cokes, about 7 of them. Dinner, brisket, pulled chicken, cheese fries, grilled vegetables to stay healthy. Would be up for basically 18 hours straight after dinner due to flight delays before I got home. Won't see a scale from me until Mother's Day at the earliest. It's over, man. What a disgrace.
I can't believe we killed Tiki. How did we do that? Holy... What just happened?
One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Good morning. How are you?
CBS Sports Radio.
Hey, what's up, DA? Permission to enter the mothership, brother.
Ever heard a sports talk show like this before? Didn't think so.
What's going on, Dirty?
It's DA on CBS Sports Radio.
DA, how you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling great.
I'm doing great.
Happy Monday, boys and girls. One question only. How do you feel?
Well, I feel good, and I'm doing well.
Well, that's all that really matters, and we appreciate you gathering around the campfire for another edition of the DA Show. Coming up in 20 minutes are the Eagles after their pummeling of the Giants on Saturday. The best team left in the NFL's Final Four. Also, advanced analytics and your epic fail. Poll question today on the Cowboys. What's holding back Dallas? Is it Jerry? Is it McCarthy? Is it Dak? Vote in the web poll. We'll get to those results coming up at the end of the hour. Yesterday in Buffalo, it was all Bengals. Let's listen in.
Shotgun snap, short drop by Burrow. The pressure comes from the left. He throws it in the middle.
Baby.
Caught at the 9. Chase straight ahead into the end zone. Touchdown on the opening drive for Cincinnati. A 28-yard throw lofted down the middle of the field by Joe Burrow. Just a touch throw. Chase reached up at the 8, caught it, and raced straight ahead into the end zone for the score.
I think our O-line is better. I think our run game is better. I think our defense is better. I just think our special teams is better. We're just overall a much better team than we were last year.
Joe Burrow saying we're a much better team than we were last season when they won the AFC, obviously. That was Dan Horde on Bengals Radio. Last week, I couldn't figure it out. And I asked all my friends that are in the business and cover teams and analyze the NFL, what gives? The Cincinnati Bengals team had checked every box this year going into this game. And yet, they were significant underdog. Number one, I thought they would succumb to Super Bowl hangover. Last year, kind of a magical season, difficult division. Ravens are always good. Steelers defense is very good. Browns got a new quarterback. Granted, Deshaun Watson wasn't going to come in until late in the season. But, you know, I felt like the Bengals would take a step back after last year's Super Bowl. After 0-2 start, anything but. The Bengals proved that they had staying power. They were not focused on the wrong things of the offseason, maybe like the Rams. Instead, they were focused on finishing the task. Number two, they got better as the season wore on. All of the losses they suffered in the division earlier in the season, they validated with wins against those same teams later on in the season. So their early loss to the Steelers, the early loss to the Ravens, the early loss to the Browns, they vindicated all of those and got better as the season wore on. They had momentum. They had not lost since Halloween. They had beaten the best teams in the AFC. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And they had the Bills at home in Week 17. And in receiving the opening kickoff, went right down the field and slayed the Bills' defense. Just killed them. Right down the field, scored a touchdown before that game was postponed. The Bengals' defense was of very high caliber and coordinated really, really well. The Bengals were largely healthy. Burrow is healthy. Chase is healthy. Higgins and Boyd are healthy. Hayden Hurst is healthy. Joe Mixon's healthy. Samaje Perine's healthy. The defense largely healthy as well. They just had problems on the offensive line where they dealt with injuries, obviously, late in the season and lost Jonah Williams last week. But they had dealt with shoddy offensive line work last year to make a Super Bowl. I didn't get it. I didn't get how the Bengals had passed all of these tests and then went into this game on Sunday as a 6-point dog. Early in the week, really right when the Bills and Bengals game was set, I think the line opened up as the Bengals were underdogs by 3.5. And I jumped on it. I said, this is no brainer. I said, I think the Bengals are winning this football game. And so early in the week, I think it was about 3.5. As the week wore on, I assumed it would slide back. That's the best number I would get. And it would go toward closer to a pick'em. That it would end up maybe Bills by 1.5 or something. It went the other way. 3.5 to 4.5 to 5.5 to when I did Sunday Morning Football yesterday. I was doing the lines with our friend Larry Hartstein, our Vegas virtuoso. I said, the line's now Bills by 6. Now, on Friday's show, you heard me. I took the Bengals plus 5.5, but I said I think the Bengals will win this game. And all of those things that I mentioned about the Bengals were answers to a test. The Bills hadn't passed any of those tests. I mean, the Bills, they were the ones that consistently got to a big spot of the playoffs and then had a bad play, or could build a big lead in a regular season game and gag it away, have bad red zone turnovers, had defensive lapses. That was the team that there was a lot more questions than answers. Add on top of it, whatever the spiritual and emotional toll the Damar Hamlin thing has taken from them, and I thought that this game is the Bengals game to lose. The Bengals are a better football team going into this game with less questions, and they've done it. They've won this game before. They've won an AFC championship game. They've fallen behind at Arrowhead and won. And I said the only reason I think this happened, well, I guess it was two parts. The Bengals didn't look great last week against the Ravens, and that tricked some people to thinking they weren't as good as they are. But that was really about the Ravens' defense being a terrible matchup for the Bengals, and the Bills' defense wasn't nearly as good as the Ravens' defense. But number two, that we never saw this game played. If the Bengals and Bills game had been played, if Damar Hamlin did not collapse, I think the Bengals would have won that football game. This game would have been in Cincinnati. And I think it would have been evident that night. Hamlin's collapse, of course, short-circuited everything with that game. But the opening drive, the Bengals were ready. They were ready for the Bills, and they cut right through them for a touchdown. No resistance whatsoever. They would have done that all night. They would have won that football game 31-17 or something, and we wouldn't have wondered, and it wouldn't have lulled people into a blind spot about the Bengals. That game not being played tricked people into thinking the Bills were actually the better team, and they weren't. They weren't. They haven't been for the last month and a half. 2 months. And the Bengals had the ultimate motivation. Had that game been played, they would have beaten both the Chiefs and the Bills. They would have beaten the two best contenders of the AFC this season. If that game was played, I think the Bengals would have won, and they would have had wins over both. And instead, and they knew they had the Bills. They knew it. They knew they were better than the Bills 3 weeks ago. But instead, they had to listen to the NFL sell tickets to an AFC championship game in Atlanta involving a team that wasn't them. Now, we never deal with this. It's not like yesterday the Niners had to deal with the NFL selling tickets to an Eagles and Cowboys NFC championship game. But the Bengals had to hear this. It's not the Bills' fault. It was it was just logistics. But the NFL had to put into play a neutral site AFC championship game. Which site would host? How would they distribute tickets? Where would fans be sat? How could you acquire tickets? All of that stuff was in play, and the Bengals had to hear about all of these plans without them. And they knew they were the better team. They know they're the better team than the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs. They were in the AFC Championship game last year, and they beat the Chiefs then too. They know they're better than both these teams. And they had to hear all week about plans for an AFC title game that didn't involve them. I went into yesterday's game, and I'm rarely like this. I use FanDuel. I enjoy wagering. I think it's a fun puzzle to play. But as you know, I mean, my picks at the end of the season were not very good. Rarely do I double down multiple times on one pick. But I saw the Bengals earlier in the week at 3.5, getting 3.5. I said, I'm taking them on the money line. By later in the week, by 5.5, I said, I'm taking them again. Yesterday, they had an early lead, and the line was still only Bengals by 2.5. I said, I'm laying money on them again. I said, I'm looking at a team that's better than the Bills, and they keep getting points on this. I parlayed them with 3 other picks. I mean, it was the one weekend where I said, this is the pick that I feel most confident about. I can't believe the number. And the Chiefs better watch out. Because, again, the Chiefs have figured out a way to kind of mind bleep everybody else. Well, the Bengals beat them in the AFC title game last year at Arrowhead, and they beat them this year in Cincinnati. They're not going to get mind bleeped by the Chiefs. If anything, it's vice versa. The Bengals know they're the better team. They know they're the best team of the AFC. And doesn't mean they'll definitely win. It's not always the way that it works. But the Bengals lurked around the AFC all season as the best team. And because that Bills game wasn't played, we didn't have the hard evidence late. And it lulled people into thinking they weren't. And you're going to end up seeing this. It was just the Ravens game was a bad matchup for them. They survived it. I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to Kansas City and winning. And I don't even need to know Mahomes' ability. Clearly, that is a big part of this. But I have felt since mid-October or so, that's the best team of the AFC is the Bengals. I felt that way for a long time. We'll see. Again, you could be the best team and there's a tip ball and it's intercepted, or there's a big play by the Chiefs that just breaks a game wide open and, suddenly you lose by 3 points, but this Bengals team was severely underrated coming into the weekend. And whereas you had the same pick on Friday, we did the picks, and you also picked the Bengals plus 5.5, and you also said, like I did, you would take them on the money line. You also snipped that Cincinnati was going to win that football game.
Yeah, I thought they had at least the better quarterback in the game, and I knew that they knew how to handle the moment from a year ago. They were not going to shy away. And how could you trust anything Bills related after everything we've seen in the postseason last year? I had to see it before I could believe it with the Bills, and I've seen it with the Bengals.
Here's the question. How do we view Zach Taylor? Because even me, who has said that I think the Bengals have been the best team of the AFC for about 2 months now, I still have a hard time completely embracing Zach Taylor and saying that he's a great coach. But yesterday, he definitely won the coaching matchup. He's going to go to back-to-back AFC title games. The team is balanced. It's not just one or the other. It's not just Joe Burrow. Now, they're incredibly well-built. The roster's excellent. I mean, when you see T. Higgins going downfield and making plays like that, and you're like, that's not even their number one target. Right. It's insane. Irwin drops a pass. They've got like 5 great pairs of hands that, you can make big plays, but Hayden Hurst was great.
Right. And they lost their tight end from last year's run in Uzoma, and Hurst has been awesome.
Right. They're a really good roster, but it makes me wonder whether I need to start reassessing Zach Taylor with more respect.
I think yesterday you could make a case, coaching-wise, that was his best job in a big spot, and I know what they did defensively, but just in terms of what they went through on that offensive line, to have that game plan and that offense, which his hands are all over, that prepared to play what has been a decent enough Bills defense on the road in bad weather, and rise to the occasion where it wasn't even a thought through the first quarter. You just knew they were going to hum along and have them with that much confidence. That, to me, I think you could make a case just from a strictly coaching perspective is better than his fingerprints on beating the Chiefs a year ago.
I think that's fair. They fell behind 21-3 in the AFC title game last year, so it certainly felt like they were not ready for that moment and didn't know how to slow down the Chiefs. And then the defense made some significant adjustments seemingly, and they held the Chiefs after that to just a field goal. And it did feel like Burrow kind of willed the team back into that game. You had the screen pass that went for the touchdown to Samaje Perine before the half that kind of got them life. And then they found a way to adjust in the second half. Yesterday was a really impressive game plan by Zach Taylor.
And let's be real, too. The Bengals did, and you just mentioned, did get screwed here in a lot of ways by having to play this game in Orchard Park. And under the circumstances in which that situation developed, he made sure that his team continued to handle itself with such class and do all the right things. If anything was going to be said, he was going to say it subtly. He kept that team together in the right way possible when, let's face it, they shouldn't have been playing in Orchard Park yesterday.
It's true. There's a lot to admire about the Bengals. Number one, when the Damar Hamlin thing happened, they didn't throw a fit like this game has to be played. That was a home game for them. That was an enormous home game that at the time could have decided home field advantage and the bye in the AFC playoffs. And they didn't get that game played. They didn't get that chance. And then we found out that any tiebreakers for neutral sites did not benefit them. It only benefited the Bills. They knew they had the Bills there, and they understood. Let's do what's right for the players. We're not going to play this game. We're not going to play this game this week. We're not going to play this game the next week. And you're right. All the permutations of how that unfolded screwed the Bengals, and they didn't say anything about it. Of course, they weren't happy. They voted against what ended up happening. But the players and the coaches, they weren't openly griping. It was just like, now we got to take care of our business. And they clinched the division week 18. They beat the Ravens last week. And it was just like this. Now we get to prove that we're the best team. And, if Damar Hamlin doesn't happen, it might have been the Bengals as the 1 seed. That was still in play on that night. And instead, they were playing on the road in Buffalo and now on the road in Kansas City. So they definitely have a chip on their shoulder because of how all of that unfolded. When we come back here on the show, the Eagles destroy the Giants on Saturday night. What's the takeaways for Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll, and are the Eagles the best team left? DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Hey, Shep, what do you think about the plan? Do you enjoy it?
I mean, I'm a sports purist, JR, so I love any form of competition where the stakes are highest and everything is on the line, and athletes reach that inner child, if you will, and they play for the passion of the game, not for the brand, not for the fan, but for the win.
What the hell did you just say to me? I don't know what you just said, Shep.
I thought that was very poetic.
I asked if you like the plan. The answer is yes.
The answer is a hell yes! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
I asked if you like the playing game. The answer is yes.
I asked if you like the plan. The answer is yes.
Oh, that is so good.
Oh, I can't even breathe right now.
Oh, my God, that's so good.
Where the stakes are highest and everything is on the line, and athletes reach that inner child, if you will, and they play for the passion of the game, not for the brand, not for the fan, but for the win.
What the hell did you just say to me?
Playing game, JR saying, I asked you if you like the playing game. Say yes.
I asked if you like the plan. The answer is yes.
The answer is a hell yes! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
He was like, okay. All right, I got it. Okay. I asked if you like the playing game. Oh, my God. Oh, JR's been sent from above. Oh, my God. Oh, that was just so perfect. On Shep's rambling soliloquies. It's just, what the hell did you just say? I asked if you like the playing game.
Reach that inner child, if you will.
Just say yes. Yeah, you know what, JR? I like it. All right, great. Tremendous.
What the hell did you just say to me?
They're reaching for that inner child. They're sucking on their thumb, JR. They're thinking about all those homework assignments they had just completed. Now that they're 9 years old, they're making sure they can graduate all the way to 4th grade, JR. They're making it up to the middle school. Now they're into the next level of education, JR. They just came home in that school bus.
What the hell did you just say? Do you like the play-in tournament or not? Say yes. Say yes, you idiot.
They take their piggy bank and they go to get an NBA ticket.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
First and goal at the 2. High snap. Give goes to Boston Scott. He pushes forward. He's in for the touchdown. The Giant Killer has another one.
Yeah, it was lit in there, right? It was fun in there, right? You got to enjoy those moments. You got to enjoy those times, and it was fun. We had a good time in there. But the message was what the schedule was, and what it's been all year. Like, I don't care who we play.
It's DA on CBS Sports Radio.
Did Nick Sirianni say it was lit in there?
Yeah, get lost.
Welcome back. DA with you here on CBS Sports Radio. We appreciate you being with us on this fine Monday morning as we break down divisional round weekend. And by the way, this NFL postseason, every Westwood One NFL broadcast streams live for free. All on the road to Super Bowl 57. Get you all the action on the Odyssey app, WestwoodOneSports.com, Westwood One Station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. All sponsored by AutoZone. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Well, there was a very heavy reality that set in yesterday and this weekend in the NFC East. The Giants began, I think, an era now of competitive football, something they have not seen in a decade. But I believe that even though they got destroyed on Saturday, they found their coach, they found their quarterback, and they have found multiple building blocks. I think that defensive line led by Dexter Lawrence is going to only get better with experience. I think the quarterback and Daniel Jones made huge strides this year, and the playoff win against Minnesota told me a lot about what he could eventually become. Saquon Barkley, healthy and utilized properly in the offense, was back to being a dynamic playmaker, and the Giants can't get worse at wide receiver. They'll have to draft one or two wideouts. They'll have to spend money at wide receiver as well. But if you give Jones more targets, he should be able to elevate his play, and I think Dable able to utilize them all. Dable and Jones had a really bad night on Saturday, but they were punching above their weight class. That's an Eagles team that's really damn good. So in the NFC East, Giants window has just started in my mind. The Philadelphia Eagles are a damn good football team, and again, a team that's going to have a window open for a while now. Jalen Hurts has really ascended, and we see what he can do when the full playbook is at his disposal, and I think he was pretty damn close to healthy on Saturday. His 3 wide receivers are all in their prime. They might lose Miles Sanders to free agency, but replacing your running back is never all that tough if you have a good scheme and a good offensive line, which they do. Their corners are elite. Their pass rush is nasty. It's a team that is right now ready to win, and they should be ready to win for a while. Washington is always Washington, and who knows? But the reality is that if you're a Cowboys fan today, how do you feel about your future? Because you're in a division that has been very winnable in recent years and now has a powerhouse in the Eagles and a Giants team that's on the come. A quick little math here. I mentioned this earlier, that since the last time the Cowboys played in the NFC Championship game, 1995, they played in 0 NFC Championship games since January 95 or January 96, while the Niners have played in 7 of them. In that time, since 1995, the Giants have gone to 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them. Philadelphia, in that time, has gone to 7 NFC Championship games and 2 Super Bowls and won 1. So in this division, there's been 3 Super Bowls won. There's been 5 Super Bowls between them. And there's been, I think, 10 NFC Championship games. And none of them involve the Cowboys. Come on. What is you at all? You're not in the class of the other 2 teams in your division. Not even close. Over the last 30 years. And the Eagles' separation gets wider, and the Giants are starting to get better. The Eagles don't have a lot of weaknesses, and what happened down the stretch without Jalen Hurts might have been a blessing. We'll see. They played great on Saturday. Much different test against the Niners. I mean, the Niners are a far superior team to the Giants. But it might have been a blessing in this way. The worry was, did the Eagles peak too soon? And at the end of the year, losing Jalen Hurts for the final 3 weeks of the season kind of caused the Eagles to go through the motions a little bit. That wasn't the real Eagles. Gardner Minshew for a couple of games, then they had to trot out limited Jalen Hurts against the Giants, wrap up the division in the 1 seed. And I think they took their foot off the gas for the final 3 weeks of the season. And then they got the bye, and it was, okay, business time again. My point is, had Jalen Hurts been healthy for the entire season, is it possible they're kind of still going full throttle at the end and that it's hard to keep that intensity going? Were they able to drop down the intensity a little bit when Hurts wasn't in there and now reboot it, reignite the flame? Not sure, but boy, it looked really good. It looked like they had hit on all cylinders. And, Mraz, going into this game, I thought the Eagles would win. I thought the Giants could keep it close for a little bit because in the division, how well they knew one another, and that I didn't know if Jalen Hurts was going to be 100%. I mean, the way that he came out of the end of the regular season, Sirianni admitted he's banged up. He's hurt. but didn't look hurt on Saturday. And when you watch the Eagles dismember the Giants, I mean, it was hard to find any weaknesses that the Niners would be able to exploit.
No, not at all. And honestly, Sirianni proved himself, I think. You know how we were kind of questioning, we still didn't know how Sirianni felt. We just looked at it with Zach Taylor.
Yep.
The Giants, I know from following this Giant team and covering, the Giants' biggest weakness on the team above anything else was they were horrible at stopping the run. And we've fallen in love with throwing the football so much in the NFL now that teams just couldn't commit to doing it. Sirianni saw that and didn't. So whether Hurts was banged up or not, Hurts only had to throw for like 150 yards in this game because the Eagles just stuffed Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott down the throats. And honestly, if that's a time of possession game they could play at all versus San Francisco is much better versus the run, I mean, that's a great recipe as well. But they were able to show that Hurts truly wasn't hurt while also not putting him in harm's way and giving him another week to feel comfortable and feel better by just running down the Giants' throats.
And we'll have plenty of time to break down these games, the AFC championship games, but that Eagles pass rush discombobulated Daniel Jones all night long. I mean, Jones had just no time to do anything. Now they get to tee off on a 7th-round rookie. I mean, Daniel Jones has at least been in the league for 4 years. Brock Purdy's looked great, no doubt about it. But the Eagles got to be licking their chops at a pass rush that gets to just about everybody, and they get to go up against a rookie that hasn't seen anything like that. They got to love that matchup.
Yeah, and Parsons was winning a lot yesterday, too. Yeah, I agree. The Eagles led the league in sacks, and they led it for a reason. So that is certainly a factor, and that's what makes the Eagles so complete. Pass rush, secondary, explosive offense, can run. I think that they fundamentally are the best team left in football.
It's hard to say otherwise. I mean, who else would... I mean, the Niners are really good. The roster is so good. The defense is so good top to bottom. But there is the but with Brock Purdy, and when you see healthy Jalen Hurts, definitely advantage Jalen Hurts at quarterback next weekend.
Absolutely, for sure. And I think if you were to look at the two AFC teams, I still think the better defenses still reside in the NFC, even when considering the offenses.
Probably. The Bengals' defense can be very good. I think the Chiefs' defense can be spotty. Chiefs' defense rose to the occasion on Saturday, but probably the two best defenses. I think the Niners' defense is the best overall defense left. And then I think it's picked between, wouldn't you say, Bengals and Eagles for the next best defense?
Absolutely. All those teams look like they're playing at a different speed on defense than the rest of the league.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll get to advanced analytics coming up here, but first, our headlines with a kind sir, Andrew Bogish.
DA, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to their second consecutive AFC title game.
No big deal.
After winning in Buffalo.
In an absolute domination.
27-10 over the Bills. Joe Burrow with 2 quick touchdown throws. His makeshift offensive line protected him all day, and the defense smothered Josh Allen.
You want to win all of them? It's the way it goes sometimes. They had a good game plan. Credit to those guys. They came out, they played hard. We just didn't have it today.
The 10 points are a season low for Allen's offense. So Burrow and his Bengals now prep for Sunday at Arrowhead. We are expecting to see Patrick Mahomes play through Saturday's high ankle sprain. It is a big deal that the Cowboys still haven't reached the NFC title game since the 95 season. They've now dropped a record 7 straight divisional round games. After yesterday's 19-12 disappointment in San Francisco, Dak Prescott back to his INT throwing ways.
Irving out of the left.
That's not the right clip yet. Calm down, Chris Carino. Dak threw 2 picks, 15 in 12 games during the regular season. And as Diaz mentioned more than once, there probably should have been a third one last night, a game-sealing, a loss-sealing pick 6 that Dre Greenlaw dropped. Brock Purdy, meanwhile, avoided the major mistake, staying unbeaten as the Niners QB. His team has now won 12 in a row overall, but now has to go to Philly on Sunday.
And no offense to Mike McCarthy, because I'm not in the business of throwing shade at guys' weights. But
you haven't done that for 10 years at all.
But, I mean, last week, how silly does it now look in retrospect that they beat the Buccaneers, an 8-9 team, and after the game in the locker room, Mike McCarthy's dancing. I mean, he was dancing after a wild card win over a sub-500 team. He looked ridiculous, and now he's going home.
I can't kill him for that. He wins a playoff game. People thought he was getting fired after.
You're dancing. It's a wild card weekend. He's dancing.
But this is the one sport where we're really not popping champagne and handing out hats after every round of the playoffs. You can dance a little in the locker room. I think it's because he's fat and his so his moves jiggle. I think a skinny man dancing. You got
Well, that's why I did want that as a pretext here. I don't know. If Kyle Shanahan danced or Mike McDaniel danced, it probably looks a little bit better than the way that his roly-poly ass looked. But at the same time, I mean, imagine Doug Peterson was dancing it. Well, maybe Doug Peterson could.
I bet you what more coaches have danced more than anything. This comes back to you are disgusted by fat people moving.
Yeah, and coach behavior in general. You need these guys in suits going to like Bible study after games. I mean, Brian Dable, I'm sure, wasn't quiet after beating the Vikings.
What he got there was DA bingo. A sloppy coach, a sloppy fat coach, celebrating a game beating an under 500 team. I mean, it checked all the boxes of DA's disgust.
Okay, I guess my point is the Cowboys shouldn't be dancing after winning a wild card game against a team that they were 5 games better than in the standings. You know, it wasn't like they were expected to win that game, basically. I mean, I just, that was a weird thing. I mean, Brian Daboll, who would have thought the Giants were winning a playoff game this year? Again, the Jaguars and Doug Peterson, nobody expected them to do what they've done this season, for the most part. But, I mean, the Cowboys beating a bad team and dancing? I mean, you haven't been to an NFC Championship game since the mid-'90s, and here's Mike McCarthy doing the moonwalk in the locker room?
Playoff win since the early 90s.
What is he, Usher? I mean, come on.
Know how to win a championship.
One more Cowboys note for you. Running back Tony Pollard reportedly broke his lower left leg yesterday. He needs surgery. Pollard was headed for a decent payday this offseason after a career year. And now we can get to the Nets.
Irving out of the left. Cuts back right. Foul line. Kick it out top. O'Neal, right wing three is good. Nets regain the lead with 27 seconds to go.
The impatient Chris Carino on Nets Radio. Brooklyn rallying from 13 down mid-fourth for a 120-116 win at the Warriors. So they've now taken back-to-back games after dropping their first 4 after Kevin Durant's sprained knee. Kyrie scored 38 last night, had 9 assists, including that one to Royce O'Neal. The Lakers turned a 25-point halftime hole into a 121-112 win in Portland, and the Suns nearly blew a 29-point lead, beating the Grizzlies 112-110. Chris Paul had 22 plus 11 assists after missing 7 with a hip injury. Purdue men's basketball likely returning to number 1 today, since number 1 Houston fell at home to Temple yesterday, 56-55, after second-ranked Kansas lost on Saturday. Novak Djokovic reaches the Australian Open quarterfinals, as do unseeded Americans Ben Shelton and Tommy Paul. Shelton is a 20-year-old NCAA champ, and this is the first time he's ever been outside the U.S. He had never used his passport before, and now he's in the final 8 down under. And on ice, the Canucks firing head coach Bruce Boudreau. The Jets top the Flyers 5-3, and the Bruins push their win streak to 5, 4-zip over the Sharks. DA, back to you.
Ostracize says, DA, this show gets me through the hard times. You're correct about the Cowboys. It's sad. I'm sad. What a disgrace. Signed a humble, non-delusional Cowboys fan. Hashtag break the bandwagon. Ostracize has been he's been realistic about the Cowboys.
Ostracize. We have so many of these names now, I wonder if they're coincidental or if they just have to do with the show.
Ralph tweets, the last time the Cowboys were to the NFC Championship game, I had no kids. Since then, I have 2 sets of twins who are all grown up and 3 granddaughters. In the span of the last time the Cowboys have been in the NFC Championship game, Ralph became a 3-time grandfather and had no kids back then.
From scratch.
Oh, my Lord.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
I mean, let's have a separate birth control conversation later on, but either way.
2 sets of twins, too. Kirby Puckett all over this place.
What? What did you say?
Twins. He had a lot of twins.
Oh, God.
Waka waka.
Yeah, I mean, that is interesting, right? 2 sets of twins. Boy.
That is I go out for milk and never come home spot for me.
What a dad.
You hear about these guys, right? These dads, I guess they could be moms too, and they're just so overwhelmed that they go out to the store one day, or they go to get their tires rotated, and then they never come back. It's like, where's Daddy?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's still at Meineke 7 years later. I don't have no idea.
2 sets of twins. I get it.
And if you have 2 sets of twins, do you go out for the muffler check and you're just like, I'm not going back. I'm driving to Santa Fe. I'm starting a new life.
It's just like Dable punting with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I've given up.
It took too long. Inflation, you know.
You drive, you go right back past that Mavis Tire Center, and you're like, you know what? I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping until I hit Park City. I'm just going. There's a new life out there for me somewhere.
See you tomorrow night.
Oh, it's horrible because it happens.
It does. 2 sets of twins will do that. The last time the Cowboys were in the NFC Championship game, Ralph had no kids. Now he's a grandfather.
He deals with 2 sets of twins, and basically the 21 finds out they're having kids. Excuse me?
On that same note, I'd love to see the Jet fans since they've won the Super Bowl.
Oh, man. That's multiple generations.
Just look in caskets. You'll find them.
He's not wrong.
When we come back, Advanced Analytics and Your Epic Fail, DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Let's listen to the magic wash over us.
Say, Shep, you like Teddy Pendergrass?
I do not. It doesn't mean he's bad. I just don't like him.
I'm offended.
Well, you shouldn't be. He just doesn't do it for me. That's all. You know who I am sad about. Speaking of musicians,
I'm not gonna sing the. I'm not gonna sing the song. I'm
Got it.
not. Nobody wants to hear me. I'm not Teddy Pendergrass. But it is so good loving somebody when somebody loves you back.
that's true. You know, we did lose a huge time musician today.
Well, Teddy Pendergrass is he not here.
No, I understand that, but David Crosby. That was a bummer.
Who?
David Crosby of Crosby, Stills and Nash.
From what?
He was an integral in rock and roll. He had the walrus mustache. Does that have the cul-de-sac on top of his head?
I like Teddy Pendergrass.
Got it. You've never heard of David Crosby?
Who? From what? What is he from?
No, seriously. So he was part of the iconic 3-man band Crosby, Stills and Nash, and it was like along the lines of the same influence of Rolling Stones and Beatles and.
No.
Okay.
No, I know every single person in group that you just mentioned, but not them. No.
Okay.
I like Teddy Pendergrass, but it's okay, to each his own.
There you go.
You could do a 4-hour show on that clip.
Come on. Do our bosses realize how good this is? Does anybody on the network realize how great this is?
24-hour marathon of these guys.
This is unmatchable. Undefeated. Here, one guy's talking about Teddy Pendergrass, and the other guy's no idea what he's talking about. The other guy goes, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. The other guy goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. They have no cross-cultural references. This is the best show ever.
Who? David Crosby of Crosby, Stills, and Nash?
From what?
I like Teddy Pendergrass.
They lived in 2 different Americas. This is awesome. How do we not have this? It's some type of like radio entrant into the Marconi Awards. I mean, here goes Shep on the soliloquy about Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and Jared couldn't care less. I like Teddy Pendergrass.
He had the walrus mustache. Does that have the cul-de-sac on top of his head?
I like Teddy Pendergrass.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Analytics is just a term that's kind of thrown around a lot.
It's time now for the Mothership's Advanced Analytics.
All right, we asked you guys today with the Cowboys' loss yesterday, what's the biggest problem? Is it Jerry? Is it McCarthy? Or is it Dak? 48% of you say it's Jera. 41% say it's Dak. Only 11% say Mike McCarthy. So some defense of Mike McCarthy around these parts. Now, the data department tells us Mike McCarthy grew up Western PA as a fan of the Steelers. Dak's net worth is about $40 million. Since Jerry took over in '89, the Cowboys have had 8 head coaches. And as we know, the Cowboys have not made a conference championship game since '95. That was when Barry Switzer won the Super Bowl. Whoa. Here's a good little factoid as well from NFL writer Kyle Yates. Zeke is slated to account for $16.7 million against the cap next year for the Cowboys. 16.7. It's nearly 12 in dead money and only $5 million in cap savings if he's cut. He won't hit free agency until 2027, Mraz, under the current contract. So as you always say, buyer beware on giving running backs that second contract. Zeke is basically cap hell for the Cowboys until 2027.
Oh, man. And Pollard's a free agent and has the broken fibula. What do they do?
You hate to see it.
Oh, they stink. At least he's a center now.
Yeah, he's a two-way player. Let's get to your epic fail of the morning, boys and girls. Stunned to a News took us to the Dairy Wrinkle in West Virginia.
The Daily Winkle.
The Dairy Winkle in West Virginia. Here it is, your epic fail.
Even the DA show is not perfect. We know. Shocking. Here's the epic fail.
How do you steal Wiener, man? I mean, now there was a fire.
Wiener.
And so somebody broke into the restaurant after the fire. So I guess maybe, locks were burned. You could go in through the wall or something like that. But I mean, you get
so there's like Kool-Aid Man's involved.
A burning.
Oh yeah, I'm here to steal a wiener.
Here's the milkshake flavors, okay, Mraz? Let me know what the number one draft pick is of the Dairy Winkle's milkshakes.
Here's the dairy, okay.
Banana.
Okay.
Banana pudding.
Ooh.
Birthday cake.
Ooh.
Blueberry.
Ooh.
Butterfinger.
Ooh.
Butterscotch.
Oh.
Caramel.
Oh. I'm sure there's somebody who's passed tragically that's looking down going, I would kill to have some ice cream down there right now. And this kid's sitting around, he's not having it.
Dreamsicle, hot fudge, Oreo, peanut butter, pineapple, raspberry, red velvet. Who's the number one pick at the Dairy Winkle milkshake stand?
You don't know what you're missing if you don't have freaking ice cream. I don't like ice cream. DA, I think at the Dairy Winkle Wrinkle Gun, it's got to be red velvet.
Really?
Wow. We've done the Oreo. I did the Oreo. We've done the banana. We've done Butterfinger before. Red velvet drops out of the sky and into your milkshake mouth? That brings all the boys to the yard. Red velvet's delicious.
Okay.
My local Friendlies closed out up the block. I literally was in tears in my bedroom. Apparently that wouldn't have mattered to you.
At the Dairy Winkle, those Sundays are half price on Monday. Mondays are half price Sunday fun day.
They know how to keep people fat at the Dairy Winkle. Monday is always a day you want to lay low, try to recoup. You've had a big weekend, but there you are. Half price Sundays back in the ice cream groove.
Epic fail, you loser.
That is why you fail. Epic fail.
As we celebrate a decade of DA here on CBS Sports Radio, we may have to dig into the crates for that fight between Mraz and Joltin' Joe. You heard that there. Joltin' Joe DeLuisio was our man on the Wheels of Steel during our night show. And Joe was in a health kick. He had grown up. His parents are from Italy. His actual name is Giuseppe. He said he ate a lot of pasta growing up, and he got real chubby. And so he wanted to get a little thinner. So he started, working out a lot, and he looks great. I mean, he's like a handsome Italian stallion. And he had given up ice cream. And Mraz, when learning that, was irate and said that he was purposefully taking something beautiful out of his life.
Yeah, you're not experiencing the joy in life.
And that was perhaps as upset or as offended as I've ever heard you on the show.
It's insulting.
That he would take ice cream out of his life.
I said it's insulting to dead people. How many of those souls just wish they could taste ice cream again? And he's sitting here not trying.
And your concept is, even in the afterlife, instead of feeling immortal bliss, you're actually wanting to do things that you used to do on Earth, like taste ice cream.
Exactly. You should be wanting that. You're looking down at this kid going, are you serious? Come up here, then you be dead. I'll come down and have ice cream.
But what happens if when you're dead, the taste of ice cream, you're like, that's how you feel all the time. It's heaven.
Well, but I can't answer for those people like that. And I can only speak for what I assume. And what I assume is they'd kill for a scoop of cookie dough.
Bergamo.
By the way, that fight helped set up the Aaron Rodgers bet, too, because he was going to have to eat an entire gallon of ice cream while lactose intolerant if the Giants were to win that game.
Oh, that's a safe contest.
JC in DC says, I want Mraz sweeping up that studio. After having to listen all week to how the Giants are going to win that game, Eagles are better than the Giants at every position.
Okay.
Did you take the Giants plus the 7.5?
I didn't. I was believing as a fan should, but I purposely did not take the Giants because in my heart of hearts, I thought they would get blown out.
Right. For the record, if you were wondering about the sell bet, Zach Gelb has gone 0 for 3 both the weeks picking. Another 0 for, which means he's 0-6 with 3 games to pick. Meantime, Pat Boyle, a.k.a. Tom Doyle, went 1-2 again.
Oh.
So he is 2-4 against 0-6 Zach. I went 3-0, but I'm not in the picks competition. I would have lost it anyway by this point in time. So Pat Boyle has a 2-game lead. Thanks to Sean Mraz, executive producer, Pete the Body Bilotti on the Wheels of Steel, Andrew Kaplan, the Wizard of Watch DA, and Andrew Bogush on your headlines. Be good to one another. See you tomorrow. The Mothership disconnects.